can you send me the link so I can put it out on leader message?
Yep, I'll send you the link now. So yeah, we start streaming now, so we will be starting the actual presidential debate in a minute. We're just going to do some setup and make sure people are watching and make sure it's all working fine, and then we'll be with you guys.
Feels good, man.
Fucking hell.
Could you keep it PG? This is a Christian channel.
Christian Minecraft server.
Yeah. And there goes my credibility out the window. Wait, I had any before?
Background.
Just give me a minute to actually get all my tabs sorted, because I've actually got like 55 million tabs open right now. To try and run all this stuff. Yeah. What do you guys think of the holder card on the back? It took me a good 2 minutes. Put a lot of hard work into it.
It really does.
Indeed we are, Instinct. We are live. But yeah, just to let you guys know, there's a Q&A bit at the end for anyone who's actually watching on the stream. So basically at the end, you guys in the chat will have a chance to ask questions to the two candidates. So be ready for that. So is everyone? So yeah, Adam, Snax, you both here?
Yeah, ready.
Yeah, I'm just sending out a leader message. Can you give me a minute?
Yeah, I can do, no problem.
So, people to join? Or...
Wait, what's this? Join the Discord, or do you mean the actual? Because I'm finding people watching and asking questions in the chat, but I've kicked people from this Discord for the sole purpose of no one interrupting and being idiots. So, because I don't trust people enough. Because you two could be sensible. So yeah, while Snax does that, Adam, how was your day? Because I know Snax had a bit of rotten luck being stuck in traffic.
I missed the post today for an important order, so I'm not going to get a bollocking yet, but I will at the start of the next week. And I just swore again, didn't I?
Ah, don't worry. Twitch won't shut us down. Stream just died. That's a joke, by the way. I didn't actually, just before something was crazy. Something Dragons. That is the best name. You should rename your party to that, Snax. 100%, just Something Dragons.
Something Dragons, yeah, feels good, man.
Isn't that like... I thought that was like a band or something. Something
Imagine Dragons you're thinking of.
Yeah, I think I am actually. All their songs sound exactly the same, don't they? To be fair.
Alright, let's do this.
So yeah, okay, fine, let's get there before we start ranting about Imagine Dragons.
Right, how are we going to do this then? Are we going to like one talk at a time?
Yeah, if you give me a minute, I've actually set this up properly, so I've even got an introductory statement, which I've actually worked hard on, so shut the fuck up.
Lord.
Hello, and welcome to the British Arts Podcast. Today is a special episode. Tonight I'm hosting the debate between Snax and Adam, allowing you, the viewer, to hear the candidates speak about issues surrounding this very important election. I urge those of you watching to suspend party alignment for a second and listen to the arguments, you stubborn bastards. From Legion of the Dragon, incumbent leader of the state and all-round meme king, we have Snax. Anything you'd like to quickly say to start with?
Oh no, yeah, man, it just feels good to be here. Thank you for inviting me. No, but generally, I'm glad that we could organise this because I think it's something generally positive for the state. So yeah, let's do it.
Fair enough. And from the National Democrats, former faithful leader of the Kingdom of England and representative of the English community for many, Adam Battleship, do you have anything you'd like to say, particularly?
I am just very glad Albion is working. There have been too many hostile views in the past, and we're beyond them and rising above them. However this debate goes, however this election goes, I am very much looking forward to the future of our country and our law.
Yeah, I can second that.
Fair enough. So I'm just going to outline how this overall event's going to work, just so we don't have any confusion later down the line. So to start off, we're going to go through the manifestos one by one, starting with Snax's, then moving to Snax, and then moving to Adams. And I'm going to ask some linear questions to each candidate about their manifesto, which they will answer. After I've completed all of my questions about the manifesto, I will ask the other candidate to comment on what they think about the other person's manifesto, and then we'll have a brief thing where the first candidate responds to those criticisms, and then I'll sum up and then move on to the next one. After we're done with the manifestos, I'm going to ask some general questions based on the article I put out the other day, and that's going to work. So I'm going to ask one of you first, then the other one's going to answer and respond, then the other's going to rebuttal, and then we're going to be done for that question. And then finally we're going to have some just general, more relaxed Q&A questions from the chat, and then we'll finish off there. And at the end, I will probably give you guys some chance for some ending statements based on what's been said in the debate. Any questions based on that?
Nope.
Yeah, because it was quite a lot of information I suddenly just kind of regurgitated there. So.
Yeah, I think if you would just refresh people at the start of every new section, because some people will just be joining as well.
Oh yeah, I was going to anyway. I just thought I'd outline it before we started, but yeah. So without further ado, Snax, we're going to start with your manifesto.
Sure.
It says in your manifesto that you are going to develop all Earth regions to development 6 within 3 days through state funding.
Yep.
Does the state have the resources, and if so, why do you think that it hasn't been done before?
Right, so I generally set this out, this objective to be achieved, because I think it can be achieved quite easily. Now we're together, we produce a lot of gold. We currently have the profit share rate set to 0, so that's straight going to state gold, so you can distribute it best to each regions. In terms of getting each region to number 6, it's definitely something we can achieve. We did it with London already, and I believe Northeast. And yeah, it's worked well, and it's something that we're going to do to produce a sort of stable ground for governors to come in and really prove themselves, because yeah, governors will need to really support their regions, because you can't just rely on state funding anymore. Big state, so governors have a lot of responsibility, but in turn they will get a lot of praise. It's definitely something we can achieve. We've shown that over the last few days in terms of personal donations. I've invested a lot. I know Adam's going to, and I know the whole country hopefully will rally together to donate, and so we can get all of our regions into the green. But yeah, it's something we can easily achieve within 3 days. Should be possible, definitely. Yeah.
Well answered. So this is just a brief little add-on. I'm guessing this is done in relation to Lenden's economic plan, which was released today, because it had some very similar trappings.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at both me and Adam's plans, I believe we would both have Alendrian as MOE to start with, definitely.
I think we agreed on day one, really.
Yeah, we that's something we agreed on. He's done fantastic work both in England and with the start of Albion. And his economic plan is excellent. And I think all three of us really see pretty well in terms of what we want to achieve in terms of goals. So once we're in a democracy, he'll be able to control what amount of the budget goes to the governors. Right now, that's down to the state leader because it's a monarchy. So that'll be down to Alendrian. And yeah, our economic plans are similar, but we can all agree on them. So there's no problems there.
Okay, fair enough. So to my second main question, it always says you want to organise a structured plan that every citizen understands and is on board with. And you specifically use the phrase donation efficiency as a kind of term to use. I was wondering if you could possibly explain to people who don't know, including myself, what you specifically mean by donation efficiency. And secondly, could you give a broad layout for how you were going to go about achieving this?
Sure. So in terms of informing the citizens, we'd keep everyone up to date with regular articles. It's another little thing that I'm looking to do is restart like maybe an Albion newspaper, but constant articles, maybe from myself, maybe from Elendrian, who knows. But certain specific people we get into that newspaper to keep people updated, and that can affect efficiency in terms of donations in many different ways. It will keep people updated on what needs donating, so maybe it's oil, or maybe we need actual in-game dollars to buy state gold. That's been a factor recently. But instead of just sending those out in leader messages, which quite often get discarded, I'd like to set up a good program which releases articles on a regular basis, so that we can keep every single citizen informed, because it's really vital. I don't want anyone in our country not knowing what's going on. Everyone in this country deserves to know what's going on, what our long-term plan is, what our short-term goals are. Everyone has that right. So if we can nail down that will definitely help with donation efficiency, in terms of everyone's in the know what we need to do, and just getting everyone into the loop in general, I think is crucial.
Fair enough. So, upon reading your manifesto, lots of people, I think, will be disappointed by the loss of being able to vote on governors. That was a staple part of Adam's administration in England, something that people kind of cared about. Can you explain to them specifically why you feel it is necessary to get rid of the voting system for governors?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so in the short term, it takes a while to organize people in terms of who wants to run where. If people lose, they want to run. It's not efficient in terms of time, and time really is of the essence when it comes to merging and upping development. Handpicking governors has a lot of benefits. In terms of, you can see a lot more in certain specific governors. You have a lot more relations. Certainly when you put it to a vote, people who are voting don't necessarily know the exact plans. Yes, they of that certain player or governor. Yes, they could release statements, but it makes it a lot more complicated, and it's really not needed. Personally, when you vote for a leader and when you vote for a party, you should be trusting them in their knowledge to really recruit the best and put the best governors in the best areas. I've spoken to Elendrian about this on multiple occasions, and it really is not efficient to have a democracy in terms of electing governors, because polls are, we could put it in a law, it's still not really good enough. And if we handpick them, it will definitely be better for development in the short term and in the long term, because it's so much more efficient. And that's exactly what we need right now, is efficiency, something that's very clear. After the election, something that I'd encourage Adam to do as well. I'll definitely be.
I'd also like to interject here once Snax is done. Once you're done, by the way.
Oh, right, yeah. What I was going to say was, I would definitely like to have a list of governors, really outlined, and put that into an article as well. Keep everyone informed of that, so we can really get into that sort of mindset. Because I get that it's nice to be able to vote for who you think you want for that specific governorship. And it is nice in an ideal world, but right now we should value efficiency in development more than anything else. And yeah, I think sort of there's that sort of area. There needs to be a trust installed that we will appoint the best people for it, because there should be standards for governors, and they are going to have to pour an awful lot into making their regions good enough for Albion, and that's, democracy adds a lot of it opens a can of worms, really. So yeah, it's just a lot easier, it's a lot more efficient, it'd be a lot better for the country, and it's just generally more sensible, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Adam, I'll let you interject here, but in future, could you leave it until the end of the thing? Because I've done it, so you can kind of talk about all of it. So yeah, just did this once. I'll let you. So go ahead.
I don't want it to get derailed before I raise my points, I should say. In the Kingdom of England, towards our waning years, I think we found the perfect balance. We had a system where we would check how the approval was for state-appointed governors. For example, I would discuss with the high parties in the country. We would decide who has the money to do it and put them in the position. Would decide if they were okay with them every month or so.
Yeah,
it's important because the state, they need to feel involved in it. You know, no one is going to donate to British Grand Celtic because we got absolutely naff all say on what was done and internationally or internally. As for democracy being messy and inefficient, it is, but
yeah. And
necessary.
I don't
this is
get
what's
your-
necessary.
Hang
on,
Snax,
no,
Snax, let you speak, so
Yeah.
let Adam finish. I'll
This-
let you interject after.
It's messy, but so is society. Feel represented, and there needs to be that middle ground between total state control and total anarchy. And I don't think that just state appointed governors with no kind of accountability is the way to do that. I mean, look, we're trusting people to vote out of us who would be not be doing that for smaller level for their own regions, where they might feel genuine attachment to.
Okay, you done?
Yep. Yeah. So Snax, go ahead.
In terms of everything is messy and so is society, that's a ridiculous argument because this is a game that's completely separate from that. We should find the most efficient way to deal with the problem and not just settle for something because it's ill-efficient. Listen, right? I get people want to be involved, and that's something that we can do in terms of getting opinion polls, etc. But really, it should be the leader, the MOE's job to really judge who is best for that job and appoint them, because I completely trust all the citizens to make the right decision. Okay, but in terms of making it efficiently, quickly, yeah. If things need to happen, if a governor isn't doing the job that he or she should be doing, we shouldn't have to go through a process of a few days before we put in another governor, remove them, etc., etc., because it's inefficient. It takes time, which we don't have. We really need to use time as best we can. There are so much better ways to involve people in terms of the state and getting them involved in the state than electing governors, because even though, yes, it is a vote and this is a vote, leadership should be appointed to make those decisions, in my opinion. And when you do vote for either myself or Adam, maybe another candidate, but myself or Adam mainly, you are putting your trust in us to make the right decisions towards the country. And I definitely think that should involve governors. And of course, there's going to be diversity in the governors. If myself or Adam wins, I'm not going to put in just all Welsh, Legion of the Dragon members. If Adam wins, I know he's not just going to put in ND members because it doesn't make sense. Governors should be elected, well, not elected, but put in that position based on what they can actually achieve for the state itself. And I, as I said before, I completely trust people to make that decision, but I really do think in terms of efficiency and time, it's better to have it non-elected and leave it up to the MOE or the leadership.
So Adam, I'm going to give you a brief period to respond to that because there's a lot of stuff said there. But after that, I'm afraid we're going to have to kind of move on. I'll summarise what was said and then move to the next question. So Adam?
I know what you mean. I mean, obviously, if we take hours to debate every single region's governor and have vote after vote after vote to ask, are you sure? Are you sure? It's a waste of time. But there needs to be extreme here. We can't have the extreme of, the leader is elected, but because it just opens the door for Yeah, I mean, I know you're not going to be putting in Welsh, or I wouldn't be putting in ND, but it still opens the door to that kind of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, which is ever so slightly.
No, listen, right? You scratch my back, I'll scratch your. Elliot, if you'll just allow me.
How long?
I'll keep it short and sweet.
Look, I'm
Okay.
not accusing you of full-out corruption here, but it's.
No, you actually are. And you're actually.
I'm saying you can't. If one person decides who gets what, then you cannot help but that person suddenly becomes very popular.
Hang on, let's just pause a second. So
we've spoken recently, Elliot, allow it. We've spoken recently about how much we trust each other. Yeah. And now you're saying that
No.
That no, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. That sort of thing. That mentality, man. We've got to adopt a completely different mentality if this is going to work.
The point I'm making here.
Okay, guys, let's just let each other finish and stuff. Yeah, guys, we don't want to devolve into an argument.
Okay.
I think he's misinterpreting what I'm saying as all.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Adam here that seems like a misinterpretation of what he's saying, but I can also understand why Snax is
have the
saying
opportunity
that.
to say clearly what I mean. And
yeah, of course you can. Go on.
Okay. What I mean is that it is unavoidable that there will be some kind of favoritism when one person and one person alone is responsible for giving out any kind of roles. Therefore, I think there needs to be some kind of public. I trust you as a person, man. But if we have a system where not to have some kind of favoritism, it's at least to some degree.
Okay.
Yeah, right, Snax, you can do a brief response, then we actually have to move on to other stuff, so just a brief response.
No. I think I've given most of most of my points on this topic, really. I get where Adam is coming from, but it's something that I really wanted to change from the Kingdom of England is efficiency, and that was a massive problem in terms of time spent over certain things that could have been spent on others. And I don't think this is worth the time really arguing about, or B, really, just worth the resources it takes to really think or talk about this in this debate. I think there's a lot more worthy things. I get that people want to be involved, and they will be, but man, honestly, the best way to go, the most efficient way to go, and the most logical way to go is leave it up to the MOE and the leader, and I want to create a council so that we can vote on certain matters, and leave it up to them, because otherwise you're taking so much time out of the general citizen's day in terms of voting on every single little thing, and in my opinion, it's just inefficient. It's not efficient, man, and that's what this should be about, is who can do the most efficient job in the time it takes, and who can do the best job. So yeah, that's I've given all my opinions on it. I completely understand where Adam's coming from, but yeah, I think we should move on now.
Okay.
My literally closing line, if I may, is it may be more efficient, but 10 people deciding for 400, there needs to be a bit of accountability, more than just one election every 3 weeks.
Okay, right, that's fine then. Let's just cut that there. But Snax, I want to pick up something you just briefly mentioned there, because I didn't hear about that anywhere in your manifesto. You mentioned a council. I haven't actually seen you mention that in any kind of documentation or manifestos.
It's something that I spoke to Adam about. And
Snax has mentioned this to me, and I think we're in very much agreement that you need...
Adam, it's just for the sake of civility and like not coming across each other. So could Snax minutes? Sorry, it's just for the sake of a proper debate. Sorry, man.
Yeah, Adam knows this, and I've spoken to Adam about it. I didn't feel it was completely necessary to put it into the manifesto, because it doesn't generally affect it, immediately. It was for my plans as leader that was independent and different from Adam's. We were both in complete agreement that maybe setting up a small council that votes on decisions and can discuss things would be beneficial to the country. But yeah, it's something we're both agreed on. It's something that will probably happen. And there will be further updates on that, in terms of articles, and we'll keep everyone up to date with that. I'm sure whoever gets voted in.
Okay, fair enough. I just thought I just picked up on it, so I thought it would be
Go
good
for
to
it.
catch
Yeah,
up on.
that's
Yeah.
no worries.
So next question. In the manifesto, you specifically mention that economically, you say you will pump excess resources into Moon Region 69, and I was wondering what you'd regard as excess resources, because that's quite a subjective kind of thing. So what would
Yeah,
you?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
In about a week or two's time, there's hopefully going to be a point where all regions are in the green, and we can leave a lot to the developing of the country up to the individual governor. Yeah. Um, in terms of excess, um, when we develop Moon Region 69, it's purely going to be for profit for our citizens. So in terms of, that's why I acquired it in the first place, really. It's got a fantastic ore rate. So if we can really build a good ore factory there, invest a decent amount of money, then the actual possibilities for our citizens to mine there and make a lot of money is great, really. So excess resources you spoke about, it's definitely something. Obviously, I'm going to prioritize Earth regions. Those are the most important. Homeland regions, by far the most important. They will get upgraded first. I know Draco is heavily involved in the Moon region and wanting to set up mines, etc. There will be a plan posted by myself that details that puts the plan into detail, and so everyone understands what we're going to do about it. But excess really is excess resources that we have after we've developed those mainland regions, because of course they are priority.
Yeah. So it's not a percentage; it's just what you have left over after after all the stuff is developed. Yeah. Okay.
When you get a moon region, it's you could take the AE approach. You're basically trying to dominate it all. But the approach that I took personally was, we secured 3, we sold 2 to fund the development on the one, because we wanted to focus on that one because it had good ore indexes, and it is purely a luxury. It is honestly a luxury to have a moon region, and I'm very glad that I was able to obtain it. It was interesting and quite lucky circumstances, I will admit, but I'm very glad that we were there to seize the opportunity. And now, after that development is done, we can use that excess money, as I said, to be able to develop that slowly or quickly. Depends on how into it certain people are, or like the whole population is. And we can make it into a luxury for our state, because at the end of the day, once we have completed base development, it goes down to the governors, and then we look at what can we really be great at, and that is definitely one of the options.
Fair enough. Well explained. So next one. So you are maintaining, according to your manifesto, a very NOS-centered foreign policy.
Yeah.
Is there any particular reason for this, as opposed to reaching out to other states alongside NOS?
Right. So we've had a heavy involvement with NOS since the start. A lot of influence. We were, I believe, we're now the second state on the list. All our allies are mainly based in there, or in the Europe region. We have a lot of friends there as well. But in terms of helping out NOS allies, I read the block chat almost almost every hour, keep updated, because really, if you don't help our allies, there's no point in being in the block. You don't really deserve it. I want to get to a place with Albion where we can look at a situation, see an ally in need, and go, yeah, right, we're committed. We're sending this amount of people over. Yeah. And they go over there and they make a damn name for themselves and a massive difference. I want to get to
Just
that
to tell this to
place
Sean.
where we're efficient and we're able to help our allies, because that is really crucial, with foreign sort of allies, as well as policy. And it's yeah, man, it's we have a lot of good friendships there, and we don't owe a lot, but we have those connections, and a lot of those states have helped us in the past, especially in the liberation and the fight against BG. And I would like to definitely participate in those wars and help out as best we can.
Okay, actually, this leads me on to my final question from the manifesto section for Snax. You said that you'd so the question is specifically was how will you ensure that people turn to foreign wars? It's all very well and good kind of saying that you will stop, quote, days where a war happens, people are asking for help from our own bloc, and 3 to 4 members are sent because there's a level 33 revolution at home. How will you specifically stop that from happening?
Okay, so in terms of getting the people together, it's crucially and essentially a change in mindset. Now that stuff is progressing at home, hopefully we can start to turn our eyes elsewhere and where we can help. It's also in terms of, it leads back to being a strong and, involved leader in terms of you speak to every single citizen. It doesn't matter which party you're from. If you're in ND, Palmetto Guard, I'm still going to be able to speak to you and talk to you about the ongoings. We're going to set up certain different discords and group conferences in game, send out leader messages, and really change the mentality of not just staying at home, but because helping away can be extremely beneficial for XP as well, and making that world, that sort of world stage presence known is vital, really. Changing the attitude is going to be difficult for myself or Adam. Personally, I think it needs to be done quite quickly because it is very important. And so the ways that I will go to change it is by talking to individual members about the pros, really, of how we can go out and help together. And, I'm not going to do anything specific, but when there's world wars, I want to be able to talk to my members, send out a message, and people go, yeah, we're right there behind you, and not go, yeah, I kind of just want to stay home and mine gold. If you don't have the energy drinks, that's perfectly fine. But when you prioritize, it really is priorities as well. So changing that sort of mindset and priorities is really crucial with individual members, and reaching out and getting that sort of mentality across is crucial. Yeah.
I'd like to say in England.
But I was just going to say anyway, Adam would like to say anything at all about anything that's been said in his manifesto. Just that was the actual thing. So go on. Sorry.
So we made our own system, or is this going to wait?
Oh no! It's fine. I was basically saying that you can literally just talk about anything that's happening.
Are you talking about the stuff that, in terms of helping out in wars?
Yes, that's totally relevant to that. England had this problem where we had a lot of players who, had just come out of a war and their only interest was rebuilding. It kind of brought a little bit of embarrassment when we could only get half a dozen members to a war in a country of like 200.
Exactly.
And we took steps, and there are currently 2 conferences of English players, be they ND, EPOT, or the Palmetto Guards, that proved very efficient. We've got fighters in these channels, and I hope if Snax will open these up.
Not yet, Snax. Let him finish completely, and then you can interject.
These up to Welsh players as well. The system we've got works, and I want to bring that to England to.
Snax, you can interject now. Sorry.
Can I ask you where your proof is of that system actually working? Which wars are you talking about that you're actually able to really turn up and make a massive difference?
Out fairly late in England's history, literally towards the last week or so. But there's one incident. It was literally just an internal war.
There's no real substance in terms of, you're talking about, there's some real true fighters.
Put this into contract. Normally, we would see GCHQ putting significant efforts into a region, and we would think, okay, we probably need to go, hourly there. I'd send the message, maybe 3 guys would turn up, It was enough to stop it, but
No,
you
but it
know,
was
nothing
awful.
impressive.
It was awful.
When we implemented this system, we would have 25 guys all fighting over the gold in the region. It works, and I want to use that on a wider scale.
Yeah, so I could just interject there. The thing is, though, we're talking about foreign policy. I think is what Snax is trying to get at, and in terms of on a foreign scale, England hasn't quite lived up to the standard which has been expected of England in the international scene. I think Snax is specifically asking for evidence that you have begun to live up to that expectation.
Listen. Can I just actually make a comment on your interjection?
Yeah, go on, Snax.
There's no longer major differences between ourselves as two countries. You know, we are now one country in Albion. Yes, I led the Welsh, or you know, and Adam led the English. That is very true. We can use certain pros and cons of those leadership terms that did or didn't work. But in terms of proving something works when it's only been used in revolutions, and we're talking about foreign policy, is completely ridiculous. There needs to be solid substance. I've proven with my current...
The moon attack.
Hang on, let Snax finish first. I'm more happy for you to have a rebuttal, but only when the other guy's finished.
I've proven with my current party and my current state that we are extremely efficient in terms of turning up to foreign wars and making a massive impact. Recently, we helped out some people, and we've helped out AE in multiple areas, you know, certain different sects of Americans and anyone from in the NOS block where we can really help. We try our best to. I have a lot of experience in that specific block and getting people organized there. You're talking about something that you organized that hasn't really been put into practice. In my personal opinion, that pales in comparison.
Adam, you can now.
Yeah, these situations between, if we are going to talk about history, between what we did was majority in the red, we still had radiation lying around, compared to Wales, which was fixed overnight. You know, we didn't have the luxury of level 10 hospitals to have the resources to spare to fight every time. It's not a show of my character. Our efforts were lacking. And this thing that you say doesn't work, proved, but isn't the majority of stuff in yours and my mandates?
May I interject? I never said it did not work. I said it was unproven. I never said it did not work. But I personally would prefer to go with a system that is proven to work and that I know works, rather than changing one that has no real...
Can you just explain what your system was exactly?
My system, you know, you spoke about having 2 English chats and speaking to people there. Speaking to people and getting involved with your members is actually crucial in terms of getting people to turn up to wars. And as you know, it all goes back to the mentality that, you know, I had with Draco and I learned with Draco and I also implemented myself, was really getting together as one group and moving efficiently. The party itself has
Let him finish.
Thank you. The party itself has chats, and when a war is going on, I individually message almost every single person, as well as putting out a state party message. These group chats are great, but it doesn't actually put up a notification in someone saying, can you come and help out here? The in-game conferences, they're all right, but if there is a certain chunk of members on Discord as well, we should really reach out to those and actually really encourage every single citizen that can to get Discord, because it is far more efficient in terms of party and state conferences, because you can make that little alert that says, listen, we really need you to come help out here and make a difference. You know, you talk about what is my plan, you know, what's the mentality of the party, etc. You know, that's already proven on the amount that we've done on the world stage already. So I don't think I really need to have to explain that.
To be honest, it's not a very fair comparison. Wales has some of the strongest and oldest members. England is an upstart nation. Yeah, it's not comparable at all. Don't try and take credit for... I let you finish. I don't think it's fair.
Snax.
I don't think it's fair at all to say here that this somehow shows us as lacking, or myself as not being as efficient, when I didn't have as much to work with as you did.
I'm not talking about what you could listen, right? It's if you got people to turn up, yeah, and they did hourly, that would have been great. It was the fact that almost no one turned up. And I'm not talking about England. England, the citizens of the Kingdom of England, not their fault at all. I'm talking about leadership here. Okay. And in terms of, yeah, we have some experienced members. I joined at exactly the same time as you. That sort of experience, if I have more experience in you in those sort of matters, then it's purely down to me seeking that out. I get that you didn't have necessarily the resources to work with because certain members of your state weren't ready to just pack up and go to war. I completely get that. You had other priorities in development, but there was no willing there. I was in these chats and I've spoken to a few members, and the efficiency in terms of getting those messages out on time when they were relevant, I'm not going to go over activity or anything like that, but the efficiency and the real sort of leadership and commander mentality I felt was lacking, not because people didn't want to come out, but because you weren't encouraging it in the right way and getting the right sort of, you weren't getting enough out of your members personally in terms of going out and helping block members. I don't want to turn this into a shouting match or anything like that, man.
Yes.
I have the utmost respect for you. But what I'm saying is that is what is needed, and that is what is really needed for Albion, if we're going to function together, and by God, I'm sure we will do. And I'm really looking forward to a first sort of block fight that we can really prove ourselves in. But I want to make sure that there is someone at the helm that can really inspire the people to go out and help, and can get that stuff together, get those messages together, get everyone linked up and saying, right, we're going to go make a difference. That is the difference in mentality, personally, from my point of view, that needs to change. And I'll give my all to make that different, and so we're all on the same page. So yeah.
The moon battle, where the Dutch were on the offensive, England was the only one fighting that for the first 12 hours, and we put a ton of damage using the most expensive equipment.
Okay.
We spent billions.
Yeah, and
total members we had.
Yeah. The
time
Snax, let him finish.
We had about 20% of our total population involved in that. A lot of us on full auto, a lot of us, not. If that doesn't show willing and coordination, is that was a point where
Snax, let him finish.
Friend, who is leader of the Dutch, requested the help, and it was done like that. When it was a very trying period when England was on its knees and resources to spare. You can't compare England and Wales' war records. You just we're very different nations. Here is like you're using this. Great. See you later. Get out. 7. Oh, Christ. Yeah. Anyway, what I was saying. The problem is you're using that as saying it reflects my character when I just didn't have the same resources to work with.
Yep.
On another note, as for the activity, I'm pretty sure someone's told Elpuck not to talk about it.
Yeah, just leave it there. Just leave it there, please. No, guys, no debate about it. Let's just leave it there, okay?
Elpuck, if it is putting people off of trusting with leadership, it needs to be discussed.
No, it doesn't.
Talking about it.
Okay, right. If Adam's comfortable talking about it, then I'm happy.
If someone wants to raise it, I will talk about it.
Can I please just talk about what he said in reply to my message before we drift on to another topic?
Yep, sure, we'll do that,
Okay.
but then I'll allow Adam to speak about that if he feels comfortable doing that.
Of course, sure. You spoke about your, about 20% of your members were involved in helping out the Dutch, right? That's great, and that shows good coordination. And yeah, you helped out decently well, right? 2 days previously, we were in 3 wars on the moon. I sent you multiple messages on Discord and you didn't reply. I sent you messages on RR as well. I believe you sent a few people, and I ended up getting so frustrated that I had to message Will to send out the party message. It's inconsistent.
Will didn't send a party message because he couldn't.
He didn't send out a party message. He sent out the message in the group chat for people to come. Yeah. And I believe you responded, you got like 3 people to Cardiff, right? Where they fought in that war on like hourly. Yeah. Then there was a change like half an hour later because there was a revolution started on the state which we would have inherited, which they blitzed. So we changed from there to the Channel Islands. Yeah. For that full 12, sort of 12, 16-hour period, there was no reply from really many of your members. And you spoke to me and you said, like a few days, like a day later, and you said, we did some good damage in Cardiff, right? But the battle was at Channel Islands. The reason why you weren't at Channel Islands is because there wasn't that communication, there wasn't the efficiency, and there wasn't really the coordination that you're talking about, man. It's inconsistent in terms of, I know at certain times you were efficient, for the Dutch you managed to pull out that support, but for that, especially for us, there was nothing. And man, it's happened so many times as well. Previously, I know you say things have changed, but with the India war, the Hawaii war, man, I could go on. But honestly, with that specific one, I felt so frustrated with you on personally with that, because it was just such a mess, man.
I personally remember this one because what's happening at the time. Details, but I was not at the computer for much of that 24-hour period, at all. If I was, it was just to check in. I was struggling to make sense of things in my own life, never mind our strategy.
Listen,
this is what I mean, Snax. This is what I mean.
Snax, stop. Snax. Let Adam finish, please, and then we'll come back to you.
This is what I meant when I said this was a period that I was not myself, and it's over now. And I am pissed off at myself because it's now affecting right now. It's affecting my bid for leadership. In the past, I can't change how badly we did. I said some stupid stuff in Discords, like saying we were acing it when we definitely weren't. I can do nothing but say I should definitely have delegated some power there. But I don't think anyone besides fucking Skynet would have kept military coordination in those circumstances.
No, I'm not saying that you listen, right? Can I just, because this is my honest opinion, and I'm sure we'll agree on this. IRL comes as massive priority. Honestly, who gives a shit when it comes to rival regions at the end of the day? Real life, it's what matters, right? It's a fucking game at the end of the day. Okay. So priorities, fine. The time that you were on, you should have given leadership over. Yeah. Because it wasn't efficient, and quite a lot of people told you that it wasn't, and it was almost ignored. I get that you were busy in real life. I get that stuff happens, and I'm sure it was horrible stuff, and I'm very sorry for that. Yeah. But really, I don't think it's really a relevant argument that we should be having on this, because it's nothing that's gonna change or has changed. I know that it's kind of tarnished a little few things, but it happens, man. Not everyone's going to be able to know the ins and outs, and it just happens, unfortunately. In the ideal world, everyone would know what's going on, and that would be perfect. But right now,
okay.
I think we've both made our points.
My war record.
Adam, 1 sec. Snax, let him finish, and then we'll come back to you if that's all right.
I think we can both agree that real life takes massive priority. And whatever has happened, you said to me, it's heavy stuff, and I'm sorry, shit does happen, and it sucks, and life does suck. But in terms of this debate right now, I think you've made it very clear what you've spoken about in terms of inactivity. I hope everyone can see your point of view, and how hopefully that will change. Now I've made my position on it known as well, even though I don't think it was specifically relevant. Maybe it was. Now that both points of view have been made, I ask everyone listening to this,
Not done yet.
understand that stuff happens, and it's nothing really to use against Adam in the leadership or anything like that.
Truth is, it is,
I think we can settle now and move on to a different and more important topic.
Yep, I'll
Right,
let
I'm
Adam say his
not-
point quickly, and then we'll move on. All right.
Affecting the campaign. It's pretty obvious. I want to. Basically, all I can do is point to. The first assault on British Grand Celtic, the very first. I'm talking old ND days. You were still with Risen back then. Created 40 members of the National Democrats to simultaneously attack southeast of England at the dead of night, about 2 a.m, all at the same time. All launch. I coordinated that without telling anyone it was happening until a few hours before.
Mm-hmm.
An attack, and having a decent straight head of mind.
I know, man. I don't think anyone's doubting that. I'm just saying that right now, that's a few months ago, and that's when things were a lot more, straightforward. It's a lot more straightforward being in a rebellion mindset and saying, right, we've only got one objective. Bro, honestly, if I could give like 10 quid to go back to being like a rebel where your only objective is to overthrow, it's simple. It's so simple. And that job of saying, right,
This discussion with so many people.
yeah, and
the good old days.
Okay.
so much more simple than actually leading a party and directing people in certain different directions with lots of tactics. So getting away
Regardless, we were beating Grand
Guys,
Celtic.
Adam, just one sec.
I don't think it was an extremely relevant point in terms of, I think there are more, up-to-date versions, because at that point you were a rebellious party, so were we. And it was a lot more simple back then. And now it's not. And so I think, I think there should be
This whole debate revolves around how competent I am as a military commander, right? That was a military action I did on my own without any Welsh organisation or anything.
Yeah.
We were winning that war for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Right, so
Can
we just do something? So I'm going to ask you both to do quick sum up statements. Don't introduce any new points. Just to sum up what you've said and your point on the issue, because this is elevating really quickly. So Snax to start with.
Go first, man.
The past is the past. I've had bad experiences that I've rubbed off on the game. I can see that, and it is definitely affecting the campaign. But looking forward to Albion here, this is the future. This is the situation. I'm no longer a rebel group. Haven't been for a while, and I want to really do what I know I'm capable of contributing to this republic. Experiences shouldn't tarnish the entire reputation for good.
I agree with that.
Okay, Snax, your sum up.
Right. So if we're gonna go,
brief, if please, because sorry.
Yeah. I will be quick. This whole debate it's amazing that this is happening. When I started the game, I never thought it was possible. My aim was always to unite some type of Britain with Wales, and we could go forward together, because I think that is the way. And I'm so glad that it's actually possible. I would like to thank Adam, and everyone else that was involved in it. Thank you so much for actually, cooperating and being able to make it happen. On the point of commander and stuff like that, I'd just like to ask one question, and that is, why is stuff about Adam being brought up in terms of being capable of a commander and not myself?
I've got that mark.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah, I know you got that mark, but it's not that. It's as you said, it's previous stuff as well, and current stuff. But yeah, I'm just wondering, that's all. Should
But
we
yeah,
move on to the
I'm
next topic?
I'm I'm gonna have to stop next. We have to move on because we've spent a lot of time on this, and we've got a lot more to get through. So I think we've both made our you both made your points very clear on the issue. So if that's right with you two. I'm asking for. I kind of need some clarification from you guys.
Sorry,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
I'm saying that we're moving on. I just had to make because it got really silent. I was like, oh, is the stream broken?
No, I don't think so.
Right, cool. So if you like, if we move on, that's good. So Snax,
Yeah.
yeah, you pun. So yeah, so Snax, you've been at the helm for this bit, so we're going to get Adam's turn to respond to direct questioning. So we're going to move on to Adam's manifesto.
Oh
so
my
you,
God, really?
yeah, exactly. This is what I'm on about.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So Adam's manifesto.
That's honest.
Yeah. So you repeated today, same for Snax. And I just wanted to talk about a couple things that were in it. So you specifically mentioned changing contribution to autonomies to 2%. Can you explain this decision in a bit more detail and why you want to do that?
So after talking with Alendrin, a centralized gold reserve that can distribute gold where it's needed. Say for example, you're in some region, you have the resources, you can donate them. The state can see, Alendrin in particular can see that there is, gold in that there are resources there, and gold is needed, and can distribute it where the demand is. This allows for personal merit, improve your autonomy. Whereas with Snax's idea, and this is a respectful criticism, by the way, everyone is kind of be the same base level. With what I'm proposing, good governors will have good autonomies because of the work they put in. People to put in more, and I believe because of how capitalism works, will result in a better.
May I interject?
If it's brief,
Yep.
like brief.
Good governors,
Yeah.
yeah, good autonomies. If they want them, God, they deserve them. But you should really give the good up and coming governors the bad regions, because when you're at the top, there's nowhere else to go. And you shouldn't be giving the not so good governors the bad ones, because then nothing's going to happen and you're going to have to do it all by yourself in terms of the state. So surely, yes, there should be that sort of reward system for the governors that achieve something. But the good up and coming ones and the ones that are doing stuff should be given the regions right now, say development 2, etc., so they know what they're doing, they know how to really process the information and go through the development alongside the state as well. So yeah, I don't get why you'd give the good.
My response to that is, you say it'll make the good stay in the right hands and the bad ones will suffer. If there's a bad governor doing a bad job in an autonomy, he will not stay in that post for very long. We will find someone who can do it.
Of course, you said that give the good governors who do a good job the good regions. Definitely,
Give
if
them
they
a region.
deserve it and they want it, sure. But the good governors shouldn't necessarily just be given the good stuff, because there's nothing really to do. Let's be honest; it's just a tag at that point. Like,
What is the point of a governor donating above what is expected if the state is going to subsidise lacking?
Yeah, we're not going to. If a governor doesn't pull his weight, then he's going to be axed. It's quite simple. Like, we don't have the time to really piss about with people not doing their job. You got to take a firm, stance on it and say, if you're not doing your job, then I'm sorry. It's just, if you're not donating enough, if you're not taking on that responsibility that you were gifted, then you really there's time for a change. I think we can agree on that. So yeah, that sort of stance. And you spoke, I'm not sure if you're speaking about state subsidized, if you state subsidize, what is there for the governors to do? Was that what you're saying, or were you saying something
I'm
different?
essentially saying that. Oh, by the way, I'm not a commie. To the guy who put that in the chat. No, I it should help to get them out of dangerous state positions, but proud to invest a lot in his region and make that region fucking exceptional if he
Listen,
wants to.
listen.
It should be,
Governors,
he shouldn't expect all support to disappear just because he's putting the effort in.
true. When you get a big region, a big amount of regions together in a state, when we were back in Wales, it's very easy to give people governorships because there wasn't a lot to do. We were all tens. But in terms of investment,
So
governors in the new Albion will have to really invest and really commit themselves, and we need to find the right people to do that, and that are willing to do it and that can do it. Have the information plus have the willing and the money to be able to pour resources in. I'm not saying if they're doing a good job, completely stop the support. Of course not. But you have to prioritize, say, the regions that are to development right now over the ones that are about, 6 and wanting luxuries such as hospitals, etc. Then that is down to the governor. So when there's non-priority areas, say, I think Wales is 5-4-4-10 right now. Yeah. Say Kodiak, my governor, wanted, or our governor wanted to.
careful.
Well, no, I am leader right now, so yeah. If they wanted to invest in that, I have other priority regions, like the regions in England right now that are development too. They are the priority. They will get the mass amount of state funding because they need it. If Kodiak wanted to, say, up the hospital number, then I would expect a decent amount of personal investment as well, because it should be seen as a luxury. We will get to state-funded luxuries after we have fully developed, and that's something that I'm saying that we should do pretty instantly, is getting all of our regions up to 6s and maintaining them as so, and then giving that as like a base level to all the governors so they can actually do something and make a name for themselves, so we can separate the good governors from maybe the not so good governors, give those governors that did an amazing job on top of their good governors, the region that they developed, maybe another one that needs work so that it can progress, because big autonomies is definitely something we want to be looking forward to in the future, because it is also efficient.
Okay, so can we just, Adam, if you'd like to give a quick response and sum up, then we'll properly be moving on again. So this is interesting and all, but we do have to get through some stuff.
One thing there was big autonomies, which I think is another thing I've mentioned in my thing. So is that going to be its own segment? Or am I okay to discuss that here?
I can bring it down later because we do need to move on to other things.
I'm fine moving on then. Let's actually get somewhere.
Okay, so next question was, you didn't specifically state how you were going to educate new players in your manifesto. Perhaps you can elaborate on that now in the debate, and to kind of give us an idea of what your plan is.
One of the things I genuinely enjoy about this game is teaching new players how to play and watching them, even if they end up joining GCHQ. The way I do it is essentially I will just drop them a friendly message. Welcome to the game. Are you here to stay? Do you want filling in on some history? Here are some articles from the past that might fill you in. And I just do my utter best to get people engaged in the community. England especially is sorely lacking players because it slowed us down. Albion, not so much, but still, we need to capture a new generation, I feel.
Yeah, can I just add something on that? It's nothing about what Adam said, but it is. It's specifically about getting new players involved.
Yeah, sure, go on.
Yeah, when you get new players involved, and you get a real spring in numbers, new players, it's so crucial to get them involved. The best way to get them involved, in my personal experience, and the way that I was really taught, really, early in my RR career, I moved over to America, and I saw the way that they use conferences to gather like young, upcoming members that don't really know a huge amount into groups with high levels, that are experienced and know how to teach. So if you get a certain amount of those groups, add them together, it will, will mix the parties so there's no specific bias. But getting them into groups where they can interact with different people, ask different questions with people that are very experienced with the game, in my opinion, is far more efficient than just sending them a message. Sending them a message is great, but it doesn't like capture them and involve them, because when you join this game, you're quite isolated. You've got to make that choice and make that climb to get yourself really involved in the community, and that would really help them take that step. I outlined it in my manifesto that I really wanted to do that, and get new players involved so we can progress, because they really are the future.
Can I just point out, this isn't related to this subject, but I love how you think personal messages are best for war and conferences are best for teaching players. Well, it's completely flipped around for me.
Yeah, I'll let I'll let Snax respond to that very briefly, and then we'll.
Just an observation, more than an actual point.
Conferences, in terms of party conferences, I believe the English only have like two, right? In terms of the ND conference and the English group conference. What I'm talking about is like separate different ones with like 5 to 10 members and a few teachers. They can talk to each other, involve, and you can teach them from there. It gets them involved in the community, right? You can teach them from there. Personal messages, yes, it's I guess it's kind of intricate, but whenever you join a game, you get sent a personal message by a few people. A game like this, you get invites, stuff like that, people wanting you to join their faction, party, whatever. What could separate us from that is actually getting them involved in something like that, and getting them into the community, giving them that chance. I personally have found that getting them on Discord is very good. It gets them involved. It's actually speaking to someone. It's not just looking at a screen, and it really opens that opportunity for them to grow as a player and get into the game. Conferences will just help that, and it's a way to separate that from the day-to-day party conference or state conference, because that can be used for better things at the time. You can separate teaching new members and then ease them into it, let them make an educated decision on what party they should join in, not just the first one to really invite them. So yeah, I personally think that would be a fantastic way to approach new players, because that's something that I really had, and it's a way that I really got involved with stuff.
Okay, Snax, if I can stop you there. I'm going to give you the opportunity to do a long.
I disagree, because players don't like to be treated like children. You put them in a conference, it's like, welcome to nursery, have a seat, here's your buddy. The ND was literally nothing. I'd say literally about 70% of our members, myself, or I've taught the game. The system of messaging people works, and whether I get elected or not, I will be hopefully teaching players again.
Let Adam. Is Adam be finished, or?
There's not a lot really to say. This is something that will be done, to be honest, whoever wins the election.
Okay, just one second, Snax. Are you going to say anything new, or are you going to repeat? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just want to take that to the next level. Messaging people, it works, but I really want to try this out, because you haven't tried it. A lot of people haven't tried it. I know they have it in the AE, and lots of other places that it works really, really well. There's not that kind of segregation. It's not like that. It's more of getting people involved. It wouldn't be like putting people in nursery. I think that's a weird comparison.
I think
let Snax finish.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
But in terms of a nursery, yeah, I mean, listen, you should really get those people together so that they can interact with people and not just look at the game and think, oh my God, that's absolutely scary and daunting. I'm never going to be able to get into that. If they interact with people around their same level, they'll learn together, make new connections, etc. Even though messaging people individually is good, I find that a lot of people message for a while, find out a few things, and then slowly die off unless they really want to step it up and are really enjoying it. I think the adding people into a new group conference is definitely something we should pursue, and it's not going to stop me from private messaging anyone at all, because that's the way that you get them into conferences. What I'm saying is we should elaborate on that and make it even better than it actually is, because you say that system works, yeah it does, but I want to make it 10 times better, and making that hopefully will. If it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, then it's something that was worth pursuing, and I think it's worth taking that chance and spending the time to really try and progress the next generation and try different ideas to get them involved, instead of just saying, nah, PMs will do.
I mean, PM, it's not like one message. I would say, just looking from results, that we've had vastly more success with this. I granted you were doing a much better job at doing military things, but I don't see how you can claim to know more about using players in.
Listen, right.
Snax, let Adam finish.
It wasn't a big speech. It was just
Sorry, I'm getting a bit.
Yeah, this is a bit of a conversation. England has a massive much bigger population than Wales in real life, so obviously you're going to get more members, obviously you're going to get more people sticking. I don't really think that's somewhere that you can really talk about like attracting members. You did better. It's just more of an opportunity, really. I get what you're saying, and I do respect it, and the people that you recruited, fantastic, well done. I want to do that, but also try out something different, because I believe that it could be something that's extremely positive. And if you're not willing to have a go at new things, then nothing's going to change, and things do need to change. So yeah,
this is beginning to seriously parallel our last discussion, but roles reversed.
All right.
Yeah, let's move on then, because this is kind of starting to go nowhere. So Adam, you mentioned trade deals a little bit in the manifesto. I was wondering if you were planning to improve trade deals better in particular, or embargo anyone based on the emphasis.
I think we have some questionable embargoes at the moment. Agree, dickheads need punishing when they're being a dickhead, but if it's going to make our entire population miss out on that trade deal, is it really worth doing, especially for a prolonged period of time? One of my points is that we shouldn't be embargoing so many nations, but more specifically, what I was talking about in the manifesto is looking to trade with other states. There is money to be made out there. One price and buy for another, and there's a clear margin of profit. I think we should push to be a country that isn't staying ourselves to fill gaps. We should be trading and investing in the markets to
definitely
enrich ourselves.
And can I say, who do we have sanctions on? No one. Do you not realize? Have you looked at our sanctions? There's like 4 states that are just puppet states that we did for a joke. That's an in-game joke. There's no sanctions that are currently there. That's already in place. We already encourage international.
India
is
embargoed.
Going to change.
It is embargoed, and 2 other. But either way, this is where I'm wanting to progress in the future. Less embargoes.
Wait, who's embargoed? No one, bro. Puppet states.
I think Adam specifically mentioned India, if I'm not mistaken.
India, bro, that was the Indian military base, which one of our members was MOE as. It's got 1 state in it. It's irrelevant.
Dexy's thing. Okay.
Dexy's thing, that's a joke that we both had together, and it's an ongoing joke. Like, Yeah, like in
I've
terms
seen
of
deals
actual
from that guy while I've been in other
no, no,
regions.
listen. Bigger picture, man. Look at real sanctions. If we were sanctioning like Turkey, AE, Russia, I'd get you, but we're not. It's completely irrelevant. And to say that you're going to change,
We're arguing for every single percentage point of efficiency here.
no. But that's what needs to be done if things are to progress, though. But the point that you made in your manifesto, manifestos are about what you're going to change. That's not going to change anything. Like you're going to take what, like 20 people off our embargo list that are probably inactive. It's
Get the
nothing.
manifesto. The manifesto is more orientated towards trading with other nations.
No. We're talking about, but we already trade with nations. We already have that international. For example, today I did dealings and I bought state gold off Captain America, and I bought some oil on the state market. I've been speaking to about 5 different state leaders today about what they're selling them for, what prices. It's nothing new.
What? But are you doing that to then resell it, or are you doing that just to use that in England?
No, but the thing is, yeah, we were just doing it just to use it in England because that's the priority right now.
Force of habit.
Development is mass priority. If we're looking at making profit, then that's something that comes later. Of course, those connections need to be made, but those connections are already made because we've been buying and we have those connections. If we're going to sell, then it's self-explanatory, man. If you're going to sell as a state, it's not.
We are a world leader in buying and selling stuff then.
No, we're not a world leader. We're not going to be a world leader for a while, man, because we're not developed yet. We're not at a point where we can genuinely produce resources for profit. The sooner we see that, the better. And then we can move on and think we're going to get to that point where we can make a profit. We can sell
Buy and
those
sell
resources.
resources. You can buy and sell resources on the civilian market and make profit.
I know, bro, but what is that? Like a few billion? It's peanuts. Bigger picture.
I mean, we're talking about, as I said, we were at each other's throats over every little bit of efficiency. Why now is it suddenly irrelevant?
What do you mean? In terms of, bro, we're talking about personal profit or state profit? Hello?
Not me advertising myself. This is me proposing a plan for our country.
I know, but it's a plan that's already in place, and that, in my opinion, is just irrelevant substance in your manifesto that could be used for so much different stuff. Like it's already happening. It's already actually the things are in place. It's something that we shouldn't pursue for a while because we're not able to, and there are other things to focus on. I just don't see why it's in your manifesto.
Hang on, you've said two contradictory things there. You've said it's already happening and that we're not in a position to do it.
No, I'm saying the relations are already in place, so it's not like you can establish those. Yeah. And we're not in a position as a state to really sell en masse to make profit. They're not contradictory, they're perfectly valid.
To make profit off of markets, which I mean buying and selling, all you need is an upfront investment.
Right, yeah.
We have smart people in Albion.
Yeah, we have, bro, we have smart people.
That. If we trust them financing this and getting ourselves some decent returns, we could be making money out of thin air.
No, honestly, man.
Investment.
No, but like, look, the upfront of investment, sure, that's great. We have people that are intelligent enough to play the state market. Yeah, like thousands, like every single player on this game that knows anything plays the state market occasionally, but it's nothing that's generally going to massively impact the state as is. We have much bigger priorities right now, much bigger. And that's something that we can pursue like in the future, but on a bigger scale. Right now, there's no point in doing it on a small scale and hoping it'll work. The better thing to do right now is develop as a state, grow that intelligence and that actual, that upfront investment that we have naturally, yeah, and wait until we can play it big time instead of trying to play like make a profit of a few billion, which yes is great, but it's not going to help out as much. No, listen, like
we have
Adam, he let you speak. I do see that we're kind of cut each other off enough, but let him finish, and then I'll give you an opportunity to rebuttal. Okay?
you said that I was like being two-faced in terms of efficiency, right? A few billion,
That's
yeah, is
not the
great.
word
Well, I'm paraphrasing you. A few billion is fantastic, and yes, it is a percentage, yeah, and it could be invested, but we could be doing so much better things with our time and so much more efficient things with our time. So that in itself, the things you discuss, we could be using our genuine time to be doing something so much different that's so much more productive and more efficient. It's not that it wouldn't be efficient, it's just that there are so many more things that would be better that we can focus on. I think I'm done with this. I've made
Okay,
it.
okay, that's fine. Adam, would you like
well,
to?
at the moment, we have resources in the treasury. We have smart people who know the markets, and we are just sitting on them, expecting them to grow on their own.
What?
We have people who can make money out of this stuff in Albion, using everything we can to maximize how much we're earning.
Bro, you like suggesting we give out state money to individual citizens so they play the market, maybe make profit, maybe don't. Yeah, we have intelligent people here, man.
Where did you get that from? No, I'm suggesting we get a lender in, get a few people, and play the markets.
Bro, the state markets very rarely change, and when they do, it's not like a player market. It's so much different. There's like 5 sales at a time. Have you looked at the state market? It's not worth playing right now. We have far bigger things to worry about, and in my opinion, so much more relevant stuff we could be discussing right now, because this really, like, I don't know why it was in your manifesto, because personally it's a
manifesto is,
and I don't know why we're discussing it right now, because
it's a point of contention. So you've already said the stuff, Snax. Adam, would you like to reply?
Really is a point of conflict here. It's in my manifesto because it's something I think could make a country richer. People want to know what I would do if elected. Off on the world market.
Fuck's sake, man. Honestly, right? It would make our country richer minimally compared to what we could do if we put our resources and time into something else. You got to look at the bigger picture, what we could do. You're trying to look.
No.
Can I speak?
No. Me, I was just taking a breath there.
Right, you pretty much stopped. Elliot, I guess this is your time to intervene.
Yeah. What I'm going to say now is clearly this is a point that both of you disagree on, and it's going to be probably one of the voting points for people if actually disagree here. So let's leave it there and move on. So let's just agree to disagree on this matter, because it's good we found something that we can actually vote on. Do you know what I mean?
I'm all for making profit for the country. That's what I'm all about. I'm all for progressing the country. That's
just said it wasn't worth our time.
No, I'm just saying what our time should be focused on more important things. That's all, man. Let's change the subject.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but okay, fine. Adam, sum up in 5 words, or less, or more.
Not that important. You're right. There are bigger things, but we should be doing everything we can to make Albion a success. Everything.
Okay, okay, there we go. So let's drop that and move on. Yeah. You mentioned a donation drive idea, Adam, and there have been some kind of questions about the kind of donation drive kind of thing, about A, how it will work, and B, some players actually contacted me on this one, and they kind of suggested that you can't necessarily talk about a donation drive, considering that Snax's donations are considerably bigger than yours. So, for instance, take All in All, which someone atted at me. It was 98.5 KKK compared to your 68 KKK donations. What would you respond to this by saying?
Essentially, it's not fair how much Snax donates on his own. It really isn't. It should be a group effort, but that isn't an ideal world.
What?
I think the entire country.
Snax, then finish.
Snax a massive. Yeah, I'm complimenting you here, man. I think the entire country owes Snax a massive thank you for into this project, and that's commendation. But I do not think tied to ability to lead, because there are a lot of people in both our parties who donate a lot who aren't aspiring for leadership. I think people I'm talking about donating are the other English parties at the moment. have raised doubts about the merger, and I feel if elected, I could much easier talk them into contributing.
Okay, is that your point, or do you have something else you want to say as well?
Interject now.
So there's no confusion here. What I'm saying is better relations with the citizens of what was England, and I could use that to get more people to donate.
Which parties are you
Snax.
talking about?
Talking about the English Nationalist Party, GCHQ, who have put their weapons down now, and EPOT, and even maybe some members of Pomoa Guards. People who have very much questioned my decision to merge our countries.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of EPOT's members. I've also spoken, I'm very close with Elendrian. We have a lot of plans together that are going to be great. I'm very close to all of his members as well. I think you saying that you'd be better actually persuading and talking to them than myself is kind of strange, because if they have doubts about you during the merger, then surely it would be easier for me to explain. Also, in terms of GCHQ, I don't know, but I've spoken to a few people and they've said that that's down to Elendrian, because he's been in loads of conversations with them, and they agreed with Elendrian that it would be good to stop. Something that you said before on donations that I'm just going to quickly interject on. Of course, donations are a massive factor when it comes to leading, because it shows commitment and ability to actually contribute. And, I'm sure you can do that. But what I'm talking about is, of course, it shouldn't be irrelevant, man. People donate and they don't expect leadership, sure, but it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be an actual factor in terms of leadership. It should. And I think you just trying to bat that off is ridiculous, really. But yeah, in terms of other parties, I find that strange as well, because I have just as I would personally view my relations with them, as good, and if not, then they will grow and I will get involved. But yeah, strange.
So you think your relations with parties I've been working alongside for months are better than mine?
I have a lot of relations with Palmetagard, especially with Elendrian.
Guard, they might be the second biggest, but there are a lot of parties in.
Yeah, I know, man. GCHQ is one of them. I've actually tried to get into voice chat with a few of them and spoken to a few of them. All in all, it's not a huge party, but I've been trying to reach out.
The point you raised before it gets completely thrown away, I'm not trying to bat this away, but you can't buy a country. It matters, but it should be secondary to a person's ability and personality.
Buy a country, bro.
Snacks. Let him finish, please.
You are using the reasoning that you have donated more as a reason to be born. It should be viewed as an act of your character that you are willing to put money in. It's not a case of invested than you do.
No, you just said something quite contradictory, which was, it should be used. I'm not using and putting this as a base front of my campaign, bro. I didn't even mention it in my manifesto. I didn't even mention it until Elliot brought it up. But you said that it's irrelevant. It's not. And you actually said that it wasn't irrelevant and it should be made as a point. I'm making it as a point. I'm not basing my whole campaign on it. You know that. So I don't know why you're getting angry at me for using it now. It's strange.
I'm getting angry. I was passionately thanking you.
Yeah, no, but you weren't.
He was.
Okay, this is a superficial matter, and this is quite a
it's irrelevant.
Yeah, as in, but yeah. So I was just saying, you answered the question, Adam. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
Okay, so there were about 3 different things brought up here, and first was personal donations. The other was Andrian, and the other was who has better relations with the third parties. I have been working with these guys for months now. I've talked them through me. I've checked them out. We've been in discussions. They've told me to hold off, not because they don't trust me, but because cautious of Empire of the Dragon than I am.
And you know what? It will be very interesting to see who they vote for.
Well, I look forward to it.
Okay, so we're happy to move on then. Okay, right, so we've gone past the manifesto bit. You answered the final question implicitly in that final statement, so that's fine. So general questions. So to explain the section, we're going to go through some general questions that you guys asked in the article. I'm going to ask a random person to start with a question. They're going to answer. The other candidate's going to answer back. They're going to give a response. Back, forth, until we finished the thing, logically. So, I'm going to start with Adam. So, Adam, what is your attitude to a presidential republic?
Well, it was always almost hypocritical of me to argue for a monarchy. You should know all about this, Elliot. Argue for a monarchy in England, while say the only way to have one in our unified nation is a presidential republic. In a country like ours, it is the only way, in my opinion, that we can function. The way we can truly have these debates, how we can better ourselves. Because if you have one leader who rules unopposed, he becomes complacent.
Definitely.
And I 100% back a presidential republic as the way that this country should go indefinitely. It's a crisis, in which case, my party, I assume everyone really would support the current president to be king to deal with that crisis. But in terms of peacetime and the day-to-day running of the state, republic all the way.
Yeah, I agree with that. We both agree with that.
I don't think anyone is going to say one-party state.
Fuck one-party state system. That's awful. Jesus.
Yeah, to be fair, it is. It is utter trash. Not gonna lie.
An edgy move just to pull.
Nah, bro.
It's like the very, very fine print of my manifesto. There's a one-party state.
Oh no!
Yeah, good luck with that. Bro, it's genuinely the worst way that you can govern it. Like,
I honestly don't know why some of these government types exist.
Yeah, honestly, right.
Guys,
So,
can I just?
Republic.
We're getting along too much, aren't we?
Yeah, no, not getting on too much. It's that it's not relevant anymore to the actual question. So
Elliot,
we got
now you know how we feel with the Constitution.
Yeah, here we go. So question 2. This one goes to Snax. Okay, here we go. What will you do to bring the Welsh and English communities closer together?
Okay. I think I've done a decent job already in terms of uniting us. I did it as a state and enabled that alongside with Adam. In terms of bringing our communities together, I think it's important to. I know we have a Discord server around, but maybe a Albion conference in game and also on Discord, something fresh and new where we can all converse and get along together. It comes back to mentality change as well, that it's going to take a while for everyone to realize that we're one state again, one state now. So we need to work really together, get on with each other. It's going to take a while for those divides to sort of close, and that's only natural. There's not a huge amount you can do to speed up that process, but I will do everything in my power to do that. I have very good relations with a lot of English members, and a lot of my party have good relations with them. Memes aside, I think it's very good that we can actually do this together in terms of creating a new state, and I'm sure we will progress forward. And I don't think it's something huge that myself nor Adam can really change. That sort of healing process of us becoming one nation. There's always going to be a slight divide for a while, and then it'll dissipate. But we can definitely sort some stuff out in terms of new conferences together, instead of separating ourselves so much. And yeah, it'll just be a time, really, man.
Okay, cool. Adam, any responses to that?
We have had, I'd say, probably the worst English and Welsh relations have ever been was the Southwest incident. But Snax is right. This is just time. There's no way. There's no love potion we can just put in the water. We've just got to wait this one out.
Yeah. Yep.
Good answers, guys. Good answers. So,
next question.
Adam, here's one that got asked. Will there be cabinet roles? So there was a question directed from those who were in England back when you did the English Constitution. You had those cabinet roles for people who wanted them. So what you asked was both of you really was, will you have cabinet roles? Who will be in the cabinet if you have it? And in regards to cabinet roles, who would get elected and how would it be done?
I'm genuinely quite pleased you asked me this, because this is something I wish I had put in the manifesto. The very earliest cabinets were essentially a learning process for myself personally, for the party and for our state, and it was basically necessary for us to know what we know now. Roles, there needs to be some kind of. I want to have as transparent a government as possible, so people know who's doing what, so who they can approach or complain to. The council, me and Snax were discussing on, will basically fill that niche, and I believe that the cabinet roles will evolve over time, instead of needing to be times where I need to release a document saying this guy is minister of this guy's minister of that. That's coming to an end. I do think this is one occasion where democracy loses out to pragmatism.
Praise the fucking Lord, he's seen the light. Oh my god.
You gotta have some life experiences. No one was born Jesus Christ.
Definitely. I'm so glad you've seen that, because the roles that you instigated, like Ministry of Foreign, Ministry of this, Ministry of that, oh my god, man, it was way overkill to compensate.
I don't regret it, because it got a lot of people involved, and we were basically giddy. We had our independence.
Yeah, but
time.
Yeah, it was
a simpler time.
So yeah, I'm glad that we can both agree on that, though, because if you would have tried to bring that over to Albion, I might have just fucking killed myself. Quite honestly.
Yeah, I might specifically for you
Ooh.
though.
Ooh. Okay, so.
In a friendly, nice way. No, not really. No.
Yeah, but okay, so just move on quickly. So. Will there be a vote on the state name Snax? And if so, when will Albion become Aldemary Dominion?
This question.
I wonder who put forward this question.
Actually, two people did. That's a combination of two.
Shit, really? I thought like the Dominion was clearly Will, but
that's people who support it doubled then.
Yeah, can you just repeat the question so I can get like all of it just in my head a little bit?
Okay, so when will you have a vote on the state name / when will it become Aldmeri Dominion? Aldmeri, I don't know.
Yeah, listen, right. I've seen quite a few suggestions, whether it be like Albion Republic, the New Albion, all different types of stuff like that. There will be a vote shortly, whether it be within a week or something like that. Of the election. I think it's quite important alongside the logo. It's not going to change anything hugely, but it's great to come to that sort of democratic decision together so that we can unify under that one flag and one name. I think myself and Adam can both agree on that, really. There are a lot of things that we differ on, but I think we pretty much agree that there should be a vote and on both state name and logo.
Purely aesthetic, like nation color or autonomy flags, it should definitely be 100% democracy, because it's not like the state misses out for a name.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just a bit of fun. It's not going to take up any of our time. It'll take me 10 minutes to write up an article that looks really nice, and we can just have a vote on it. Really.
You'll be taking.
So anyone that's an aspiring, good at graphics or anything like that, put forward a logo and come up with a few names. So put them forward, really seriously, because we're all ears. So yeah, that's good stuff, guys. I think both me and Adam agree on this exact question, so I don't think there's any use in really debating it anymore.
Okay, Adam, any
which I could do all day.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, do you have any plans for further consolidation efforts? So, do you have any plans to kind of include people like the Celtic Kingdom or anyone else potentially?
And towards?
That is towards, I believe, Adam, based on the rota.
Okay.
I would be open to the entire British Isles, the entire island chain, forming one nation. There are a lot of roadblocks, Sean. There are a lot of roadblocks getting in the way of that. There really are. But if England and Wales can do it, and we've had a pretty shaky past at times, then it is definitely possible for the other nations too. Working together for this better thing. It's not something that I can say, yes, I want this to happen, so it will happen. One half of an agreement. There has to be other people. If I was put into office, I would always leave that offer there to the other nations. Right.
Yep, reasonable response. Snax?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Like, honestly, right, in terms of bringing in new nations, yeah, in an ideal world, it would be great. There's going to be a lot of in-game mechanics that will develop, the situation in terms of opening and closing borders, changes admin put into stuff like that. And we can take it by a situational basis, it's not like right now we're going to actively approach anyone. It's just at the moment, I think what's best is concentrating on ourselves, then thinking about other possibilities. Because right now, this is just development, stuff like that, and that's priority.
Okay, next question. Similar vein, actually. Would you be in support of a bigger British Empire once we've developed our regions?
Is this me?
It's a Snax, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there are a lot of, you could look at the stereotypical ones in like, well, Gibraltar or, Falkland Islands, stuff like that. It's a possibility in the future. I know Falkland Islands is currently occupied by a group of American players, I believe. So that's completely off the cards. Gibraltar's mainland Spain. There is a lot of things that could happen in terms of expanding. I managed to expand Lamoon, and that was a great move, and it's good possibilities for all of the state. So yeah, there will be lots of different possibilities, I'm sure, that will arise over the next few months. But once again, same with any other like type of Celtic kingdom or anything like that. It's just take it on a situational basis, and everyone will be informed of what's going on, etc. It's not like we're going to hide anything. So I think keeping everyone updated on the situation in terms like that is very important. When something does come up, if people back it, then we'll go for it if it is viewed to be as a possible asset for the state.
Okay, Adam?
Yeah, the moon was a good move, and fully support that. It's definitely going to be an asset in the future. All we could get from that is very nice. I also like the name. In terms of places, invading places purely for the fact they were in the British Empire, I think unless it has some bonus for us, such as the Falklands or Gibraltar, we shouldn't be interested in it at all.
Definitely. I get that people are like over patriotic. Well, not over patriotic, but patriotic for those sort of regions, and I get it. But it's it's in it's a game, and so it's not like we're going to get everything we want. And right now they're owned by states that we are friends with, so we're not going to push anything there. So I don't think other options to explore that will be far more beneficial as well. So
I don't think either of us are going to try and colonize America.
Yep. Next question.
Okay, next question. Could you both give like 5 words each that give some indication of the experience and the abilities that you both bring to the table? Starting with Adam. That's one. Just kidding.
I do is unify people. I did it in England. I can do it on a bigger scale.
I'm pretty sure that's more than 5 words.
Yeah, I think the point was missed, but that's fine. Thanks.
Okay. Strength, unity, knowledge, relations, memes, I guess.
I was literally thinking exactly the same thing as you went M. I was just he's going to say it, isn't he? But yeah.
Genuinely, strength, unity, the knowledge, the relations, the stuff that I have acquired, I think would be very beneficial to the state.
Don't underplay the memes, man. They're important. But yeah.
No, I won't underplay the memes.
Never underplay the memes. But yeah, so what advice would each of you give, or either of you, give to smaller parties in the United Kingdom? Snax starting with.
Okay, so right now we're turning into a presidential republic. I will look out for my party and try and recruit members from my party respectively. Yeah. And I think Adam should do the same. But I will always encourage diversity. If someone wants to make their new party, I encourage new players not to make new parties because, you don't learn from others who have been in the game. There are a lot of reasons for that. Like every single tutorial says that. But if people want to split off, make a new party, try and grow it and do it themselves, I'm all for it. Diversity is a wonderful thing. Now that we're a presidential republic, it makes it even better. So yeah, if you have those aspirations, if you want to do for it, then go for it. Follow it.
Adam?
If I was to say something to small parties, it is work with us, not against us.
Yeah.
One of the biggest pains in my arse in the early days of leading was people who firstly wanted to rebuild the British Empire and were outraged I wasn't invading Wales, and also people who were opinionated. I don't have a problem with other parties. Obviously, a party can get to a size where it stops being efficient. I think the ND has been teetering on that for a while. I don't want it to grow much more. But as you're surrounded by people who genuinely think the same things as you, it doesn't have to be a big party or a small one. As long as you are a human being, you will be able to have an impact on how this country is run. It's in safe hands now, I think.
Any more comments from either of you on that matter?
Nope, don't think so.
Okay, here comes the most important question of all of them, and I want you both to take this seriously with the genuine concern it takes. Will you be changing Albion's ideology to hyper-luxury gay space communism? Starting with...
Yep.
Okay, he answered. Yep, Snax.
Fuck yes.
Okay, cool. So we were in agreement. Hyper-luxury gay space communism.
I thought it already was. Am I in the wrong place?
Okay, seriously, the actual genuine last question. Which actually is genuinely serious. So as whilst debate's happening, I actually only just noticed that NR has left the bloc, and they're applying to join, I think, EU at this point. And this is a question I'm going to say anyway. So, do you regard Sean as someone who decent relations can be maintained with? Starting with Adam.
It wasn't true, and I've worked personally very hard. I make it true, but you can't. It's like trying to paint water. I've wasted so many hours of my life trying to make that man see reason. He looks out for his own country, which I guess every leader should. But his idea of foreign relations is a wall of arrogance. I hope we can coexist, but he has to give for that. That he seems to expect the world of us, and just to accept him doing whatever he wants on our border. I don't know. This is truly one of the hardest questions because is not quite a rogue state. There are a lot of people in it who are obviously listening to this right now, who are awesome people. Well, that was really entertaining, but there's a security risk that we need to negotiate. I wish Sean was a lot more reasonable, is all I'm going to say.
Okay. Can I respond?
Yep, Snax, you're free to respond.
Well, I'm not responding to what Adam said. I'm just making my opinion known. I'm just going to keep mine short because I really don't think it deserves our time right now. Yeah, Sean right now, I don't give a shit about, as long as it does not impact my country in a negative manner. If positive, then yeah, sure, we'll work together. But right now, if it's not negatively impacting Albion, if it's not a major concern, then I don't give a shit, man, honestly, because it's not worth taking our time to think about right now and process. There are far more important things to think about. And yeah, you know, as long as it's not hurting Albion.
Okay, right. So now we have
all the things that Adam said as well. You know, I wish he was that, I wish he was this, but he's not. So it's better just dealing with the reality.
Yeah, just to put some context into my rant there. It's not a perfect world, and yeah, probably just see how it develops.
Okay, is that all you guys want to say on the issue, or is there anything else? Nope. Okay. So now we move on to the next section. Basically, I missed out something at the beginning. It's a short section of basically short answer, it's questions directed at the individual candidates, very very quickly. Not about the manifestos, but general stuff. So we'll get through that quickly, and we'll start with Snax. Questions have been raised about your commitment to England based on events that transpired around the Southwest deal, which Adam briefly mentioned earlier. How would you respond to the criticism that you regard the English player base as intrinsically worse at the game or less understanding of game concepts?
Where are these accusations that I said that?
No, it's accusations of an attitude which people think you might have based on actions in the past.
Okay. I think okay, so if you're gonna my genuine opinion, if I had those opinions, if I did think those things, then why would I have done this? Why would I have joined together with you guys? Why would I have opened it up for a presidential republic, which I like, which, you know, I have basically a 50-50 chance of losing, you know? I did this because I want England and Wales to be stronger together, and we can be united better, you know? I have no grudge against England, Adam, any specific citizen, or you guys as a whole. I proved that by, you know, trying to get this merge over the line. And so yeah, there's nothing, there's no beef there. There's nothing that I don't show. It's everything, and all the views that I have right now are on the table. You know, I don't like to hold anything back like that. And no, God no, I hold no grudges against England or any of its citizens.
Okay, second question, unless Adam wants to interject there.
You have said things in the past about the ND and England that were definitely not friendly. Let's just say.
Yeah, sure. So listen, right. I've criticized yourself and your party in previous times because, yeah, it had deserved criticism at the time. It happens, bro, and it was constructive criticism, and you worked on it. Like I spoke about a few things and I criticized a few things, and right now they're not a problem because you changed. Hopefully, and I think those criticisms were part of you guys actually getting up and saying, yeah, well, we need to change that, and that happened, you know. So yeah, that stuff in the, you know, in the past, it's not relevant anymore. I don't think at all. I get that some people want to bring it up again, but I think this is a perfect opportunity to leave all that beef behind, because there is none anymore.
My war record is getting brought up as something in the past that's still relevant.
And you brought up
Seen
like
as relevant.
past, literally, right? When we're discussing stuff like beef, you know, internal stuff, sure, but in terms of competence, etc., then you have to look at experience.
Like manner is competence. It's just another skill you need.
Yeah, of course. Competence is vital for a leader. Sorry?
Yeah, because, you know, we are going forward together on this. The English player base, a lot of the English player base does still remember things you have said yourself about us.
Sure.
You know, incompetent, useless, stuff like that.
I never said you were useless, not at all. I said you were incompetent a few times, yeah. but that happens.
Me, that was to the entire English player base.
Yeah, you've said a few things about us that I don't dislike. You said a few things about myself, made a few assumptions, etc., etc. It happens, and I think the merge proved that we can leave that behind and now progress together. I'm not saying you should forget those things.
I'm giving you advice of saying don't pretend it didn't happen, basically.
I'm not. If you'd have actually let me finish, I was saying, don't forget those things at all, because it's worth it to remember the history. But shit happens, and yeah, I said a few things. I said what I thought, and that's very valuable. Things needed to change. I made some criticisms, and that hopefully helped with the realization that things did need to change, because they did. And I'm not claiming credit or anything like that, and far from it. I'm just saying that criticism can be used progressively, and you can build stuff upon criticism. It is constructive criticism, really. And occasionally, yeah, I may have said a few things about yourself, and it bugs me a few times, and a few things you've said, yeah, sure, I disagreed with, and at the time, I was a bit pissed off with. But I can overcome that and realize that there is a bigger picture, and there are bigger things that we can focus on that are far more important.
Any final points you guys want to make on that matter before we move on, or have you guys made your positions clear on that?
Pretty sure.
I hope for all things. Oh, are you saying something?
No, I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure we both made our opinions pretty clear.
I just want to clarify that I think for a lot of the things we've discussed in this stream, moving forward is more important than moving back.
Yep, that's very true.
So your next question. Critics have suggested that you have very little experience at running a stable country, and that Draco did much of the heavy lifting in the past to make Wales the state it is, and that you are capitalising on the prestige of the Legion of the Dragon. What would you say to such a suggestion?
That's interesting. Okay, so I inherited a very wealthy and great nation. It was just, yeah, I inherited that, and I inherited it for a reason, because of what Draco saw in me, and that, I believe, is a very important topic we should focus on as well. In terms of development, etc., and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure over the last few days, and especially in consolidation, I've actually proved myself in being able to manage stuff like that. In terms of managing an unstable nation, I will admit, yeah, I haven't managed and led specifically an unstable nation, but Albion won't be in an unstable nation for it will be an unstable nation for a very short amount of time if I get elected. I can assure you of that.
As a country before.
Sorry?
You have never had to stabilize a country before.
No, that's very true, but I know how to. And and to be honest, England was still very much in the transition period. So that was never specifically completed, and that's why Albion, as it is right now, isn't fully developed. And so it's something that we can do together as both of us, is the new experience.
Adam,
do you want to come back to that, or is that?
Well, back to the original point. So can you repeat the question? The question that was directed at Snax again.
The question I said was that critics have suggested that he has very little experience at running a stable country, and that Draco did much of the heavy lifting in the past, and that he was capitalising on the prestige of the Legion of the Dragon. I was asking what his response to such an accusation would be.
I think you need to accept a lot of the help Draco has given, which is only normal, of course, in handing over power. But consolidation. I remember when we got to the month-long monarchy thing you proposed, it took a conversation with Draco to get the whole project back on track.
Yeah, sure. You do realise, and we did speak about how the 1 month monarchy wasn't a legitimate proposal. You do realise that. I've told you that multiple times.
Yeah, after.
Yeah, no, not yeah. Well, after it's not like I tell you it before it because that would void the point of me telling you it. It wasn't like I was genuinely putting that forward as a proposal. I'm just saying because
Why
you
did
clarify
communications
that.
break down after that proposal then?
The communications didn't break down, man. It just took a bit of
Didn't
time
talk for
because
like
there
a
was a
few
lot of
days.
stuff going on in terms of war with the moon, etc. Yeah, please do. Um, yeah, yeah, and everything that I've said over the last 5 minutes about this current topic has definitely been accepting that help and that I got from Draco and the experience that I gained from learning from him is massive, and it's something that I think will definitely benefit me when coming to leading this state.
Some probably not as relevant to the debate, but I do hope Draco takes an active role in Albion because he's probably the most high-level, knowledgeable, non-cunt player in the UK player base.
This is a stream. I don't want to take him down, Adam.
Oh yeah, of course, can't say that.
Just saying, like, not avoiding your point at all, but like enough. No c wording, please.
Sorry, it's completely accurate what I said, but yeah, language. My apologies.
That's fine. So, Snax, any retort to that, and then I'll ask Adam for one more retort to the retort, and then we'll move on.
I don't think so, man.
Okay. In which case, he's not going to retort himself, so we'll move on. This one's a bit okay. So, there have been some questions raised about your general attitude, Snax, because people suggest that you have a tendency to lose patience quickly and to become agitated during negotiations. Do you feel that this in any way, in your opinion, compromises your ability to negotiate with other nations and delegates?
Not at all. If you look at my foreign relations and the connections that I do have, it completely voids that question. May I ask who put forward that question?
It's anonymous, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Haven't made the secret police yet.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at my foreign connections and the deals that I have done and made in my time, yeah, I don't see that happening. On a few occasions, I've gotten heated because I'm frustrated with stuff not being able to happen. Sure, it happens to the best of us. But yeah, honestly, if you want to take a view on what I can accomplish in terms of diplomacy, you just have to look at the connections that I've made and being able to maintain as leader. It's quite simple, really.
Okay, Adam, any response to that?
I think a fair comment here is that Snax's foreign relations are, but possibly lacking in others. He does amazing work with the Americans and the bloc, like far beyond what I was ever able to accomplish. That's undeniable. But I think for smaller scale diplomacy, and he could get fairly irritated by things like when we were dealing with them, away from what you've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In terms of smaller things, it irritates me when things aren't done efficiently, and it's something that I'm going to have to deal with. And yes, before things have gotten heated, and I've had an outburst, and it happens. And I'm not going to deny that. Yeah, I get angry sometimes due to certain little things bugging me. Sure, I'll admit that. I'm not going to try and deny that. But yeah, in terms of small little things, in terms of diplomacy, I don't really see that there's any problem there. If I can deal with the big things, the small things, sure, it's fine. I don't think there's any cause of worry there. I think the more cause of worry would be, if you were to say Adam has done more dealings with like the small stuff, he doesn't get heated and stuff like that, then you should probably look at the big stuff as well. I think, the big things, they're big things for a reason. I can do the small
Let's Snax
things.
finish up.
And if you want to look at the big things, I suggest you look at the big things.
Right, Adam, go.
No, I think one of the best things we can really take from this is we will be merging our skills as well as our land. You know, pure optimism here. We have the skill sets to make a much better country than either we had. Criticism, really, of what he said. I just think that needs to be beared in mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. And part of this is learning from your mistakes. I made a few in terms of getting angry, and I will, and I have learned from
A
them.
few
in
with
terms
Ed Miller banter. Remember that?
Oh God, do you remember that?
Dear
That
God.
was quite the mistake on your front. I'm sorry, but
Literally, I looked away for 10 minutes and he'd spent the fucking budget. Sorry, I'm swearing again.
Re! Anyway, it doesn't matter, it's fine.
Just not bringing.
We haven't been reported yet, so it's fine. So yeah, that's pretty much all the questions I had for Snax. Well answered. Well done on that. Adam, your questions now. So some critics have suggested that you were handed the position of leader on a silver platter by being the leader of a single group of like kind of a splinter group of British rebels, and suggested that you didn't actually have the experience or the knowledge to run the country efficiently. And thus you do not have the necessary experience to run a country the size of Wales and England. What would you say to such a criticism?
Quite surprised by that. So, is this more of a criticism of my upbringing, how I got into the position I am, or is it more of a criticism of how I'd manage a country the size of England and Wales?
Take it as both.
First one, first. I was not handed leader of the English resistance on a silver platter. Not at all. I was not even at the founding of Plaque. I joined later on. It was only because of my bloody determination to see my country free, and, recruited the party to the size it was and overtook them all. I did not get anything handed. Arguably, the country was a very, very generous gift by the international community. Like, definitely. But in terms of my own personal
Snacks, behave.
yeah, but in terms of my own personal career-wise, I I don't want to seem big-headed, but like I started off as just a noob who brought a party of two guys up to being that worked with the Welsh and the Dutch to free England. I wasn't expecting that question. And so the next one regarding country size. Yeah, this country is bigger than any British player has experienced before. Could apply to both me and Snax, arguably more to Snax. Of giving the governors more is even more applicable to a larger country, less autonomy, less state control. I can see it as a challenge, but then they are insane. I've had the most experience with large countries, and that's all I can say, really.
Snacks, your response?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at it in terms of I don't think the whole it was a team effort. Yeah, in general, it was a team effort. We all contributed, but in all seriousness, I don't think talking about whether Adam got given England on a silver platter or I got given Wales on a silver platter is a real relevant question. What's more relevant personally is really what we can do for Albion. So yeah, I get that it's a question that brings up things about our personality, etc., and the time that we've spent on this game. But yeah, I don't think it's extremely up for debate right now.
If there's one little thing I could say on this subject, it's there is a debate for did the English people get given a country on a silver platter? We earn it. That's genuinely a discussion that I think there's two sides to. As for did I get given my leadership, English community, no. I fought very hard for it.
In which case, since you brought it up, that question you just mentioned about whether the English people got given England on a silver platter, what would your answer to that be?
I can see there's an argument, how some people can look in and say, this is a absolute giveaway. But who else would have taken the regions? There would not have been any kind of liberation of British Grand Celtic unless the rest of the world had confidence in the Welsh being able to hold their regions and the islands with the Irish, and the English being able to hold mainland England. They had confidence in us because they saw something, and I really hope we haven't disappointed anyone.
Fair answer, fair answer. So if you don't mind, I'll move on to the next question. This relates to the first one. So, about your competence in leading and such. Someone suggested during your leadership in England, you've been completely unchallenged. Competition breeds creativity, and you've had none of it even throughout rocky times. Do you think that there would have been more progress if you had a competitor like now in England?
I fully endorse competition. It's a genuine real world ideology of mine that we need multiple people who are able to do a job rather than relying on one person at any one time. My rule of England wasn't unopposed. There were definitely parties people could go to, and they did. The Palmyra Guards especially provided me with genuine kick up the arse wise motivation, even in a terrible time. I don't think it was completely unopposed. Everyone was eyeing up England. The French.
Like in a democratic sense, you were completely unopposed. And in terms of switching to a presidential republic, God, it never really happened, did it?
I was holding out for Albion.
Yeah, but still, you should have done it earlier because there was a demand and agreement for it. In terms of
the polls showed a clear minority of people wanting that.
Can I speak? Yeah, but you promised it. You said that you'd be changing for a
Granted.
And like 2 weeks later. Anyway, yeah, you were completely unopposed as English leader. Like, it's not like there were any major parties opposing you at all. Your whole party backs you, or backed you for that leadership. So yeah, I don't think you really were opposed, but I get what you mean.
Well, I do disagree with that because it certainly did not feel as if I was unopposed at the time.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between
I can tell you,
isn't there?
I can tell you from personal experience, it was a very coveted role.
Yeah, I know, but you freaked out over that GCHQ revolution, and I was like, oh my god. So if that's what you're talking about being threatened, then sure. But
I saw an opportunity to get some of our players to level up. That's what I saw with that.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So next question, Elliot, my boy.
Really?
But any other responses? I'd rather have Adam sum up his opinion because he had a good
yeah, this is getting off topic, but the whole GCHQ thing. Anyone who says I was more fearful of the Russians making a comeback than of two English players making serious problems. There's no fear there.
But yeah, back to the original question
Yeah.
though. So would you say that if you had more democratic challenge that England would have progressed more, or do you feel like you've done that England did not stagnate to any extent and actually progressed incredibly well, bearing in mind?
I encountered was from my own party. Not a great time, and my leadership was in question. As for did that affect the actual state? No, I was motivated to getting England into a state where it can stand up on its own and where consolidation could be a possibility. No, I don't.
Okay, fair enough. This one's quite a big one, so you have to bear with it because someone actually compiled this and it's somewhat irritating, but whatever. A question's been raised about your this actually links to much earlier in the debate, like one of the first questions. Your appointment of governors. Based on the report that I created on the 20th of May, people have started to question whether the selection process for governors in England was good, based on the fact that there was chronic underdevelopment in some regions by poor governors, some of which were hoarding as much as like 600 KKK gold and doing nothing with it, without any kind of punitive measure. What would you say in defence of that system back then? Or if you don't defend such a system, what would you say you would change now?
I'm not going to defend that system because that was a bad system, and I think I needed to really be in control of the situation and go through those motions to see work. That was a learning curve for me.
See.
Protest governor for a while in Yorkshire before becoming leader of the state. I wrote in my mandate the new system that I'm proposing with centralised gold control specifically to stop stuff like that ever happening again, because England wasted so much time waiting on certain people who should not have been in those positions.
Very true.
Yeah, I recognise the mistakes of the past. I'm not blind to them. I'm not going to defend them.
And if you want to go back to it, sure, then that's mainly down to a democracy, because they were down to a democratic vote.
England didn't have a lot of talent at the time. Let's be fair, we're very new.
It doesn't matter. It still reflects.
Literally, no one, who was applying. Look at who was applying for the governor. There were very few of them. It's only about when the Palmero Guards came over, brought a few very high-ranking Americans, EPOT banded, helped us out.
Exactly, bro. They've done wonders. I'd like to give like a massive shout out to Jack, Green Tea, and of course Alendrian for doing absolute fucking wonders in England, because they've done a fantastic.
Stop talking now.
And they will definitely be keeping their governorships, and the way they really kick development up, and it was fantastic. So good job to them. It was a world-class shit.
Again,
the election of these governors, when there was literally no other choice, we didn't have tons of high-level players with trillions to spend.
No, I know, but you did elections instead of actually. No. The thing is, right, is if you didn't have options, then you should have chosen the best pick out of the bunch instead of putting everything up for election, because then there's
experience. Let me tell you now. In hindsight, if I could have done that again, I would have done elections for a few regions, and for others, I would have sourced players who have the resources to develop. And I would have installed the manual.
Is that you had such a, well, not small, but you got about, like, how many people voted in those things? If we have governorship elections right now, we're going to have to organize like hundreds and hundreds of people will be voting, or can vote, which is going to be an absolute logistical nightmare. And of course, and it's just going to turn into debate, where really it should just be set out. That's the way it is. Those are the governors. If they don't do a good job, they're gone. If they do, then great. We'll set out moving forward like that, and there will be development. I can fucking promise you that. Sorry for swearing on your Christian Minecraft server earlier.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't
worry. Giles has brought up a question here, which I'm starting to see more. We are forming a centralized versus an autonomous state kind of debate here, aren't we? Biggest division.
No, not really. My personal view is that it should be centralized state funding for a certain amount of period until all development indexes are at least 6, which shouldn't take very long at all. Then you increase the profit share, and then it's down to the governors to progress from then. Then state funding can then go on to stuff like luxuries, like where do we most need to increase in terms of getting education up, or building hospitals to make this better for ourselves, not just base development. Base development should be state funded right now with the help of individual donors as well, if possible. And then we pass them over to the governors. Like, I know that Meme and a few other governors that I have contributed to buying state gold, so of course that money will be sent to them as well. But it should be state funded to get those regions to a base which the governors can then build on, because as you saw in England, expecting governors to do that job by themselves with you know, the state focusing on all of the other states at the same, all of the other regions at the same time is extremely inefficient. So getting that block, giving it then to the governors to really progress is the best way about it, in my personal opinion. I'm pretty sure.
After speaking quite a lot with Elendrian over this, we both came to an agreement that you need gold to be centralized, but other resources like oil and ore, ones that are directly related to player donations,
Definitely.
need to be done on a regional level, because what will happen is any smart player will wait until the until the profit share increases.
Yeah,
Autonomy on top of state subsidies.
Of course.
I mean, I realise you are left, I'm centre left, but it does not work in this context.
No, you need to have that control in terms of the leader and the MOE controlling the flow of resources that hit each region, because you really need that control. It's just essential for any state. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we agree on that. But I've spoken to Elendrian at a long extent as well, and yeah. I don't think there's a huge amount to be said about it, really. That we both outlined our economic plan in our manifesto. I think we're just rechurning stuff that we've already said.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We have already covered all of this before.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, can we move on to something?
Yeah, this is pretty much the last question that I had prepared before we go on to Q&A questions from the stream. If there are any. Yeah, if there are any, which I'm not sure there are. Going back to the report, I initially didn't publish this because I didn't know what was going on with it, but a significant chunk of gold was allocated to Bucharest between the 14th and the 25th of May, and I was just wondering what that actually was, because me and Lendrin were both looking at it and we looked a bit suspiciously at it because there was no indication of anything coming back from Bucharest or anything. I was wondering if you could explain to people what that was, because I think other people spotted it too.
Where the resources went directly to me and I then invested them back in the state. There's a big where my donations were just crazy for a bit. It was simple selling state gold that we had a lot of for resources that we didn't.
Okay, that's a fair response.
It was a trade deal. I understand how, looking back, where there aren't any records of us getting anything from that, it can look shady as anything. A trade deal. It was done literally because we had excess gold and not enough resources to donate.
Okay, fair enough. Just thought I'd just double check that because it was a cause for concern among quite a lot of people. So I'm glad that you've answered that.
If anyone, I've not actually. I was curious if anyone was going to ask me about this. I'm actually quite concerned people are worried about that. I know this is all anonymous.
I say worried, I mean like it was just brought up and everyone's like, that doesn't look right. The more than like, it's all gone wrong. But
I think literally a few hours after signing it, looking through past laws in ours and their parliament, I saw this will look dodgy in a few years. It's basically exactly what I expected to happen. Yeah, it was for the benefit of England.
Okay, fair enough then. Snax, anything you want to say? I doubt there is, based on the nature of the question.
Not really.
So now we come on to the final bit. Any questions from the audience who are currently watching the stream?
Holy shit! Sorry, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yes, we have.
I'm not currently looking at the chat, so like, if you want to.
Gonna get a glass of water, so I'll just be at AFK for like a minute max.
5 hours. That's a good one, guys. Are traps gay? This will be what decides the election. Snax.
Feels bad, man.
But are traps gay, Snax?
Oh man, that's such a. I got a really weird message from Yash. I don't know if you know him. the other day, and he just sent me this message like now that Adam's resigning, he wanted me to be like the king of the gays. So yeah, man, it's strange really, but traps, maybe.
Traps, because I'm an expert.
Are traps gay, Adam? That is the question.
Elliot, that's a question for you.
Oh, I see that. Okay. Answer that question honestly. Asperger's. So fuck off. You two.
Wow, I did not notice.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
Like at all.
It's fine. I don't really care. It's just.
Traps are gay, I'm afraid. Yeah, they just are.
I mean, what if you don't see? What if you go straight for anal? Just straight in for anal, and you don't see the dick.
It matters about your intention, doesn't it? You know, if you go looking for traps, you are. But you know, stuff happens. I've been there.
Draco will know I just used someone called Bob's argument. I think he'll appreciate that.
Oh my god. Okay, guys, can we actually get on to anything?
So yeah, any actual questions before we just kind of stop, and for the evening, because we have been at this for a few hours now.
It's like a quarter of the day almost. A great one, someone has a genuine question. This is a question.
I'll ask Adam first. This one. So yeah, he says in regards to development of the industries, will you allow outside investment, or will you help to make Albion invested by players only from Albion? So you're gonna have a global kind of outlook on the economy, or a very nationalistic outcome of the economy?
I've been in this debate, and I've been on both sides at some point in my political life. But at the moment, I think there needs to be a definitive middle ground. I would allocate the best regions. If I could design it from scratch, I would designate the best gold regions to English gold mines and allow foreign investment to come in unrestricted. Less useful regions. For long term, and I'm talking like months and months, that approach would pay off. You know, we'd have industry that is answerable to no one but our own player base. But again, it's not just long term, because England has been on fire for quite a while now, and I would like it rebuilt. There needs to be a middle ground. That either side of the scale, because if you go too far to one, benefits of the other. Players are willing to invest the same stuff a outsider is. Obviously, it'll go every time to the English player. That's just in my history. Obviously, Albion now, it's force of habit. I should really go to that. That's my approach to it.
So Snax, your answer to the question?
Yeah, can you just repeat it for me, just so I can answer it with the most efficient?
Yep, okay. In regards to development of the industries, will you allow outside investment, or will you help to make Albion invested by players only from Albion? That's a direct quote.
I welcome all outside investment, as long as it's well founded. You know, I have a lot of connections outside Albion. You know, I've attracted a lot of people to come join my party, and now they will invest in the state. I don't think it's something that we should stick to completely British, or completely English and Welsh, whatever you want to call it. As Adam said, there's middle ground. And yeah, I don't think that we should really rule out either. So yeah, it's nothing hugely important, but I welcome donations and contributions to our state from all over. Recently, I haven't been accepting any work permits or residency requests from anyone out of the country that isn't in one of our parties. Due to consolidation, we're just about to turn to a republic. It's quite a sensitive time right now, so I would like people just to take a minute back and assess the situation. Will become a stable governorship over the next few days. Then we can start letting in people to come into work, etc. when everything is stable.
Okay. We have another question from Cecil John Rhodes, and he is saying, speaking from experience with the AE, there are many players who feel left out by the GOA's dominance. Would you, both of you, be interested in increased immigration to Albion from players in the AE and other nations where they are disenfranchised? And we'll start this one with Snax being from the American player base originally, to some extent.
Oh,
I mean,
wow. Not originally.
not originally. I mean, you went to PDU, then you went across to America. So you've had experience around the place as an immigrant. So I'm going to just go there.
Yeah, as I said before, I welcome immigration from basically all over. I'm not going to exclude any specific type of players. Anyone from AE that wants to genuinely come over and contribute, join into the community is more than welcome. We made it very clear that anyone that is a friend and part of that community is also welcome in ours. There should be a regulation. I'm not going to let obviously if 50 Turkish players try and get work permits or residency in the country, then I'm obviously not going to accept them. But in terms of increasing diversity and competition, I think it's only a healthy thing for Albion.
Adam, anything you want to say to that?
Yeah, actually, immigration was crucial in the early days of my nation, and I think the opportunities it could provide are just as real now. Regards to America and the American Empire, especially, some of our best and brightest have come from there, and I think we are in a unique position because there is a lot of stuff happening in our nation now. It is an exciting place to be, and if anyone feels disenfranchised from anywhere, but including America, they would be very welcome here. Actually, probably pool our efforts and make some kind of approach on that. Advertisements.
Okay. Okay. Big D's not going to leave me alone until I actually answer this question. So, which the Elder Scrolls race does each leader support? We'll start with Snax.
Oh man, you're not gonna make me do that. Nah, I can't answer that question.
Yes, you can. Go for it.
No comment. No comment.
First, because I know who that is, and we've had literally half an hour's debate on this already.
Snax, is it an unpopular opinion?
Nah, man. Honestly, I just don't know a huge amount about the game itself.
Really?
Yeah, in general, I do, but I don't.
Oh, fair enough. Adam, then.
I'm going to hesitate. It's the Imperials, and I can tell, and I can tell. Some people in the chat.
Did you just say the Imperials?
They've got the coolest
scumbag! No, you scumbag! You went for the Imperials! Nords, sorry, Skyrim for the Nords, you bastard!
It isn't Elliot.
Yes, it is!
You just went from like a Lib Dem to an EDL member.
I don't care! Skyrim's for the Nords and the Nords alone.
The whole Imperial thing where they just literally find money lying around. Why would you pick anything else?
Because...
Oh wow, we've actually got some people debating this in the comments now. Have you seen?
Because you started this by saying you were the Imperials. You traitor.
I'm...
Wait, hang on, wait, did you play as a Nord, or did you play as a...
Get really controversial, because I played as a Nord.
Oh, you're actually a bastard. If you played as like any other race, I'd be like, that's RP, that's fine. But you played as a sodding Nord.
Yeah.
Trust me, I get more triggered about Skyrim than I do politics. Just don't worry about it. Like, seriously. Anyway, there's a serious question. Before I actually lose my shit. Okay? So, Snax. What is your foreign policy? Will you be block puppets, or will you genuinely make decisions of war based on what the people want?
Interesting. I believe this comes from an FSP member.
Giles, whoever he is.
Oh, Giles. Oh, is that that's Dutch leader, isn't it? Is it? Can you repeat the question?
What is your foreign policy? Will you be block puppets, or will you genuinely make decisions of war based on what the people want?
We'll genuinely we'll make decisions on what we believe is right. Helping our bloc allies in a 50-50 situation is always something I want to prioritize. In terms of doing things what is right. If there's something going on that is obviously out of line, then I will be definitely speaking to the person that's organizing it. It's not like I'm going to push anyone into any agreement or going to fight anywhere where they feel that they want to be on the opposition. Far from it. I want to make sure that we're all involved and that we all have our voices heard in terms of going to war. It's something that I can definitely instigate in terms. I actually, myself and Adam can definitely instigate that. Whatever happens. But in terms of really getting out there and making a name for ourselves, then definitely. But in terms of being a block puppet, no, I don't think so.
아,
Yep.
Sorry?
So Adam, what's your stance anyway? Sorry, I just kind of zoned out for a second.
Imperials. No. Regarding it's all about balance again. We have obviously obligations to the people who protect us because we would expect the same. As far as any defensive war comes, I would always be pushing for us to intervene. Bloc ally was being invaded, of course. In terms of following the bloc into aggressive conflicts, it may not be possible to exactly ask the people if a war is like behind closed doors, or if something is more covert. But again, I would, and I think Snax is the same. We would have a council that would represent the people and would gauge opinions. It's not perfect. Total democracy in terms of doing only what the people say. In terms of international diplomacy, is not efficient. I don't believe, which is a shame. Where you need to lean more towards a centralized approach. Changing your opinion every day.
Okay, fair enough. A few more general questions and I think we're done.
Homosexuality, furries, and weeaboos.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. What are your opinion on homosexuality? Wait, what? What? Sorry, what are your opinion? Good one, brain. What is your opinion on... Oh, yep, sorry, go on, Snax.
Can we just, are there any questions?
Yeah, genuine questions, fair enough. I think there's like one, not so much opinion-based question, but a mechanics-based question.
The Isle of Man.
Yeah, the Isle of Man. What is the role of the Isle of Man moving forward? I think Adam's you started.
Buffer state. It's a buffer state, and it's also a training war state. So we'll introduce it in terms of training wars. We'll have a nation bonus, which means you can go full auto or once per hour. But for training wars, it's great for XP. You get free nation bonus, which gives you more XP, and also it provides different opportunities for training MOEs, foreign ministers, and also leadership. So it provides a lot of assets, and yeah, I'm pretty sure I explained that in my manifesto as well. So if you want to go give that a read, it'll probably go slightly more into detail, and you can go back and reference it. But yeah, that's basically the general overlook of
it. Much less of a political issue, really. More of it is an asset for our country. If anyone asks, that is Albion territory. That's our land. But as Snax explained there, we are using it for training purposes for all regions. It boosts our country the same way that our moon region does. It's an asset.
Cool. One thing I wanted to add to that, because actually, Snax, you mentioned it's a training region. The thing is, doesn't that make you kind of at odds with Elendrin's economic plan? Because he posted that, and it suggested that the East Midlands...
Our economic plans are quite similar, actually.
I'm just saying the difference being that Elendrin had a different, I think had a slightly different thing for the Isle of Man, because he said the East Midlands would be the training region. I was just wondering if you're gonna have, if you're gonna have Elendrin as
East
your.
Midlands is a training region for governors.
Important thing.
Oh, I'm actually dense. I'm tired. I've literally been. Oh Jesus. Oh, I need to.
Me and Snax have both basically developed this idea on individually. I think, we both came up with it. I don't know who did first, but independent of each other. The East Midlands would act as somewhere we can trial new governors. Like, we can show them how it works.
Yep.
We have a nation of a lot more assets than we ever did before, and I'm genuinely really excited to see how we work with it.
Yeah, it's good to clarify that.
Okay, guys.
And there is one more question. There is one more question, unfortunately.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Snax. We need to get through them. Cecil
Sorry,
John
3 hours.
Rhodes. I know. Cecil John Rhodes. You'll be the final question. It's an honour for you, I imagine. So, do you have any minor government positions? Like I saw the Polish had an ambassador that just came to Albion. Now, you would argue that we answered that earlier, but this is slightly different because it's about ambassadors to certain countries rather than specific minister positions. What is each of the candidates' position on that, starting with Adam?
Yeah, currently in England, not currently. I mean, a few days ago. It's been a long few days. We do have those who have connections in foreign countries that gives a direct line of conversation. It is good. We do have them, and I think we will continue to. In the past, in the old English constitutions, they were a officially accredited position. I'd write an article saying who was doing what. They've kind of evolved now into a lot more fluid, organised. Now we have consolidated into Albion. These people will be shared with the council and whoever wins. Yes, we have them. Essentially, is what I'm saying. If you want to be one, either message either me or Snax or whoever wins the election, and I'm sure we could put it to use if you are, interested in doing more.
Snax, you got any arguments with
yeah,
that?
I know certain members that have connections to certain different countries. I know ODB has certain different connections in his home countries. Draco has a lot of connections to the French and the Russians and Chinese, actually. And there are a lot of specific players that have those connections that can definitely, unfortunately won't be official, but can definitely be given those roles and to keep everyone updated on the situation.
In which case, there is not really any other questions to talk about, so I'm going to end the debate there. I hope this has been productive. Thank you everyone for tuning in for the past 3 hours. Oh my god, we've been doing this for 3 hours. So, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. I want to thank again Adam for coming along, and I also want to thank Snax for coming along. It's been a pleasure having you both. I hope you both may the best man win in the election when it comes, so good luck to you both.
Just have some signing off words to you two. Well done, Outpuck. This was well organised, and yeah, we've got through a lot, I think. Snax, whoever wins this, will lead our country to new heights. I know that.
Yep, definitely.
Fair
I
enough.
agree with that.
Anyway.
Whatever happens, we will move forward together. I very much look forward to the vote. It's going to be great. And yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you've listened to all of this, then God help you. But I hope it's been informative and yeah.
After doing this 3 hours, I now genuinely 100% am solidified in my belief that there is no God. So, thank you for listening, and have a nice morning at this point. So, have a good one.